Yep, I'm there too.
Like that. Can you hear me now, people? Or a black sheep where he's like running all over trying to get things up.
It's a throwback movie.
Yeah.
So that's if I don't have to work tomorrow because of a snow day, because I get to decide whether we're open or closed tomorrow.
Where do you work?
Wilson's Antiques.
My daughter goes there.
I have a booth there. But nobody likes to work, so I work.
Oh, because you guys share the duties of the problem.
Yep. And I'm now the third cashier, so that's kind of hard. So.
Yeah. Doctor appointment this afternoon, and I'm gonna ask Dr. Clayton about this.
Yeah,
What the hay thing.
hi Karen, you're the first one on and I'm wondering if you will let us know if the sound is working.
It is.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't say that. I dropped those delinquents off yesterday. You know, we only had one box, and the clerk said,
Did she call him delinquent? What did I call him? I can't remember.
Past due or something.
Yeah.
I hope
I
you were
got
nice.
admonished for that last week.
Dad.
I did.
And she,
Delinquent, whereas anyways, I can't remember.
so she said, yeah, she said, is this all you got? Yeah, yeah, for today.
Kind of reminder, I don't know. I think it's like 8%. Something like 160, 1,484. And below
Yeah, it's got a 7 on it.
1,487.
Yeah. That's it. Well, it changes.
And that's about 10%.
Well,
Excuse me, I see it's 9 AM. So we probably should, once again, I'll call the meeting to order at 9 AM, and we'll have roll call. Goss here, Bennett here, Glenn,
Here,
Falmouth here, Papa's absent. So do we have any nominations to moderate the meeting? I nominate Cheryl because she did such a good job yesterday.
I'll second.
I accept the nomination. We'll have a roll call vote. Bennett?
Here,
No, this is.
oh,
or
yes.
no.
I'm here.
Glenn?
yes.
Falmouth? Yes. Goss, yes. Pop is absent. Do we have any adjustments to the agenda? Hearing none. Anyone have a declaration of conflict of interest? Hearing none, we'll move on to public comment at 9:01 AM. We have no one present in the township hall. Is there anyone on Zoom, Lois, who would like to comment?
There's no hand up.
Okay. Okay, that takes us to our first agenda item. Budget work, I guess, before we get to that. I know some people have to leave early. Can they just say what time they need to leave so we make sure we don't run into, having a problem with getting our last public comment and all that in?
Double check the time. I think I remember it right, but the way my day is going.
I need to be out of here by 1:30. And that's probably late, probably 1.
I need to be gone by 12:30.
Well, let's just get our work done till noon and call it.
Okay. So we wound up yesterday with cemetery, I believe. And we were the next,
Cheryl's.
Cheryl, what
isn't
about the
floodplain the
FEMA?
first item?
no, Ron wanted it as business item number 2. Do
Oh,
we
is it?
make it business item number 1? I mean.
Yeah, do you want,
should-
just
I
so
think
we
we-
get it out of the way? I think
Well,
we
I
should.
think we should, actually, but I didn't hear any changes to the agenda, so I left.
Well,
it the
do you
way
want
it
us to
was.
change it? We'll do it right now. You want?
Well, no, I think we can just go ahead and
Okay.
talk about this. I need a second to read, this email that Ron sent at 7:01 a.m. this morning. About the floodplain amendment.
Looks like they just changed numbers.
We,
I'm not sure that we need to start changing. The agenda I'm looking at does have, no, item number 1 is review/approve proposed floodplain ordinance amendment.
right, but I had to put out a revised notice yesterday.
That's right.
to Add this item because otherwise it wouldn't have been able to be added without everyone here.
Right, because of the public notice.
Right.
Okay, I got it.
So,
Yeah, my
And-
bad.
and I would just say about the memo, the last half of it, asking about the fire special assessment, that's not on our agenda, so we can't talk about that. But, and I had not read this, or maybe we could have added it, but, so I think has everybody read the documents for the floodplain?
Mhm.
And basically, I needed the documents by yesterday, which I had them, of course, before yesterday. I did send the notice of public hearing to the Record Eagle yesterday to get it published and ask that it be published in this Sunday's paper so that we can have our meeting, we can have this on the agenda on 3/14. I don't have any, we're basically looking at 2 pages, well, a page and a half, which is just the section 3 and section 4. I don't have any changes. So in other words, we're not adopting the amendment today. We're just deciding whether this language needs to have any changes before it goes to public hearing.
I didn't see any. It's minimal changes, the red lines and the
It's
blue.
Just number changing, really.
Yeah,
I thought it read better by making those changes. It was less convoluted.
right.
Right. So we don't have any changes?
I don't have any.
So no, we can set it for public hearing. Is that what's next?
Yep, usually.
Well, we have set it for public hearing, but we, on the day that the public notice appears in the paper, we need to have those documents on
Right.
the township website and here in the township hall because it says we do. And so, I don't, Ron didn't provide a motion for anything. I don't think there's any objection. Well, I guess we can just say, can we say this? There was consensus that, no changes need to be made to the wording of amendment 1. to-
Ordinance number
To
53.
ordinance number 53. Is that a consensus of everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to the budget work session. Oh, and one more thing, I guess I will address in there is the intergovernmental agreement. Finally, this morning, I had a chance to pull out the FEMA file, and we do have a fully executed copy of our intergovernmental agreement with Grand Traverse County. So
Cheryl, could I have a copy of that? I'm also still waiting for my grant copy.
what's that?
Can I have a copy of that?
Yeah,
The
sure.
intergovernmental agreement?
Well, yeah, everybody will get a copy of it.
Okay,
I don't know if it'll be today.
that's okay.
Will it be in the next board packet, do you think, with the rest of?
I'll give it to Ron. It'll be up to him if he wants to put it in the board packet. Okay, so on to the budget work session. I believe we got through cemetery.
We're on planning commission. Department 405. Do you want to put the planner in there, or do you want to put the planner somewhere else?
The planner goes under 804 in Department 400. Those are professional services. That's where those go to the planning commission. 405, that's the zoning administrator department. And we
Does-
already have his fees under 804 in that department.
Okay.
Make this a little bigger.
Here again, I guess, note 10, I need to pull out the note, which was in the 221 packet. No. Okay, well, there's several things here. Under note 10, the 18 meetings, I think we kind of discussed yesterday that yes, the 6% is $1.06, but I guess it is. I haven't done the math, but I think 74.20, we would just make that 75.
That's what we were doing yesterday.
Right. And then chair under here is going to 106. I suggest we round that to 110. And then the board member does not get paid the board member rate for attending the planning commission.
Nope.
So the board member gets $75. So Ron's gonna have to, I guess, recalculate that.
So what are the numbers again? Planning commission members are? Are they staying at 70?
75, I think. Ron had said 74-20, but we would prefer to just have round numbers.
In the chair?
And the chair, I think I rounded 106 to 110. If somebody has a different idea, let me know. Did they think that should be 120? I think probably with the chair's extra work, I think that's reasonable.
Okay. Thank you for that.
And then, as I said, the board member is the same as a PC member. They don't get the board rate for that. Okay, so that'll be a new number. Do we want to let Ron supply that, or we want to try and figure it out right now? So I guess he's basing that on 18 meetings.
Talking about the recording secretary?
Let's see, 75 times 6 members,
Oh,
that's 450 per meeting. Times 18 meetings. I've got 8,100 there. And then okay, and the chair, 120 times 18 meetings. I've got 2,160 there. So, I'm sorry, 8,100 and 2,160 is 10,260. But maybe we want to make that. What if they have more than 18 meetings? I don't know.
have we heard from the planning commission on what they think their schedule is gonna be like how many meetings they think they're gonna have? Because they are working on the master plan, so it's probably not gonna be just the standard
We
once
won't
a
know.
month.
We won't know that till Randy gets done with his schedule. He's working on it this morning.
So that, you said it was, on average, it was what, 450 per meeting or 480?
Well, 450 for the members.
Okay.
Then you gotta add-
So 570 per meeting, with the chair.
So 600 if they were to potentially have, to Della's point, 3 more meetings, because there's some months, probably you're not gonna have 2 meetings in December, things get, November, right?
right.
I mean, so let's say if it's 20 meetings or 21, 20 meetings, 10,700 or 10,000, I think you said 10,400
10,260
Okay,
at the rates we've talked about.
and another $1,200 puts that at 11,500.
It's kind of more than that, because if you take, you gotta take, she said you gotta take 120 for the chair times 18, and then the board members 75 times 18.
No, $75 times 6 members
Mm-hmm.
who get 75,
And times that number by 18.
and then times that number by 18. So
Like-
75 times 6 is 450. And 450 times 18 is 8,100. And the chair is 120 per meeting times 18 is 2,160.
Potentially 20 meetings would be 11,500.
No,
Yeah,
you did, okay, where did you put the
I would-
board members?
I would think
amount?
that's probably.
the board member doesn't get, the board member is a member of the PC and gets the 75. They don't get their
You
board.
only
member
did
wages.
times 6, we have, oh, minus the chair, okay, no problem.
Okay, what was that, Don?
I was just suggesting we let that go
Let
at 20
20
and
meetings.
put it at 11,500.
I like that.
Yeah, but does but that's just standard number of meetings, right?
Yep. That's
There's
one,
no additional meetings.
20.
no, 1 meeting a month is 12, and that's 8 additional, up to 8 additional.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, 18. Got it.
Yeah.
6
right.
I'm telling you guys, my medication today has kicked my butt.
Here.
I am not here, getting here, and it's been, I'm foggy.
Do you want to get some coffee?
I've got coffee, it's not helping. So
Okay.
11/5.
And then, so then if we're gonna do 20 meetings. For the recording secretary. Which I think there was an increase in that, wasn't there, to 53?
What's this?
He's got a note, yeah, he's got. a
Yep, he's
note
got
on
it,
that
53.
About proposing the
53. Okay, so.
Oh,
I'm sorry, what was that, Lois? Oh, okay, so 53. And I mean, it's typically 2 or more than 2 hours. So if you had 20 meetings times 106, that would be 2120. That's what I come up with. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll recalculate the social security and Medicare.
so what number did we come up with? I'm sorry.
2120.
Thank you.
2120. Okay, and then what other items anybody have questions or comments on under planning commission?
I don't know what we know. I don't know if we know what our expenses are gonna be in detail with creating the master plan. So do we just come back and ask for more later? Or you want to put some stuff in there for the master plan? I don't know if Ron did that or not.
Well, I see that Ron has been quite generous. He's put 2,000 for office supplies and expense. He's put 2,000 in for postage. 0 has been spent this fiscal year and the one before, but hopefully.
Well, if they get
Got
through
it.
the master plan, they're gonna wanna do town hall
Right.
meetings.
Right, yeah.
correspondence.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, and then same for, the planner, the 30,000. There was no cap put on Randy's contract, so. $75 an hour. Education and training is the same, publishing, 2,000.
Did they have more citizen planners? Has everybody done their citizen
I
planner?
think there's 3 done so far.
I've reimbursed, I think, 2 people. Rachel and Carl, no, 3, I believe. I think I've reimbursed Rachel and Rod. So. So education and training, I don't have a problem. That's the same amount as last year. Publishing has been doubled. I don't know why, but I don't have a problem with it. So,
I'm thinking that if they really are going to have the master plan done, they're gonna be needing to do more printing than $500.
Unless she's putting it in publishing, what are you putting in, what do you consider publishing versus printing?
Publishing is when you put it in the paper that you're
Right.
having a meeting.
well, that's like
Or-
notices of public hearings at the planning commission.
Right, so is
Printing would be
printing
like.
five-
wanting
yeah,
to print a
exactly,
postcard
so-
Or something like that.
I don't think 500 is gonna be enough, because if he sends
I
out,
think we should increase that.
Wouldn't printing, let me ask, the printing. Do you discern, let's say, office supplies being papered, like things that we print in here versus on 902, I think when I see printing there, I think about going outside.
I think that's what I'm
outside
thinking,
services.
outside services.
The
that-
chances are, if we print, even if we're printing it here, just like with the newsletter, we'd break it out.
Okay,
New-
oh, okay,
newsletter, yeah.
okay, so if you print 500 copies in here for a survey, you take it out of office supplies and put it into printing, you break it down, you take that expense and put it over to printing?
We do a number of copies and there's a certain dollar or cents per
Yeah.
copy,
Yeah.
We get
And-
billed for color copies.
and that's what we do.
Okay.
And there's a certain amount of black and white in our contract, and then we get billed if we're over that.
Okay,
I don't foresee us printing our own master plan. That's gonna have to go out, but is it gonna be completed in the next year? But are you gonna need some help with it in the meantime?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about printing the master plan. I was thinking about
Well,
printing materials for like, you're gonna have an open house.
Right,
why
right.
don't
Yeah.
we took $1,000 out of the wages,
Why we
once we
couldn't fit?
calculated that correctly, why don't we just make this 1,500 and that doesn't really add to the,
Okay,
I mean, there's a couple things that do add to the bottom line, but I think we just make it 1,500 and call it good.
that makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
On to zoning administrator. Bob hardly ever asks for any office supplies once in a great while. He does have some postage from time to time.
Those
I-
numbers are just,
Yeah, those are just what we did before.
Yep.
And on 804, I think there's gonna be I think I heard something about his contract is gonna change. I don't have anything to dispute the 32,000. But if we're gonna have a code enforcement officer, they're gonna have to be paid out of a different line item so that we can distinguish whose wages are which
Yep.
in
But-
there, but
That, yeah, that'll be a different line item. Could we not just do a budget amendment to move them?
yeah, we
If
could.
and when we
yeah.
actually have a code enforcement?
Well, hopefully Ron will be here at the next budget meeting on March 8th. And then he can fine tune whatever, we weren't sure on.
so, yeah, to your point of enforcement, if I'm reading note 12. At his last line there that he put in notes, enforcement is additional estimate 5K. So
Thinking he put
Ba-
it in the 32.
I think he put it in the 32.
So if we actually put a line item in that said code enforcement, we could move the 5,000 over to that code enforcement line.
If my interpretation of his notes correct, I would agree.
I think it is.
That's how I.
And so, see, the thing of it is we don't know. The wages line items, the 702, the 703. Those taxes are taken out of. That's payroll. Those are payroll line items. The 804. Those people getting paid under 804 are getting paid out of the accounts payable program. They're independent contractors. They're responsible for their own taxes.
That's the W-9 where they
Uh-huh.
take care of all their
1099.
1099. I'm sorry.
1099. And so the thing about it is, I guess, with setting some different money out for a code enforcement officer, are they going to be an employee or are they going to be an independent contractor?
Well, if you're only giving them $5,000, I would say you're probably gonna use a contractor.
So,
That's a fair observation.
Well, I don't see anybody walking in as an employee for $5,000.
Well, I think we already talked about this. Code enforcement, I think, is going the same way that zoning is and planning is. It's not a set employee, it's going to be a
Okay.
contracted service. So I'm sure there's people out there that all they do is code enforcement. They go from township to township doing their code.
Kind of like
enforcements.
Leslie and her planning.
Yeah, Leslie does that with planning.
so I think that, the 5K is in this $32,000 number, but we would not want two people to get paid out of that line item. We would want to come up with, I don't know if the number 805 is available or 806 or something like that, that could also be used as another professional services line item. We would want to split that out eventually. But that could be a budget amendment later on, and then we just move some money out of
Right.
the 804.
This mileage reimbursement, the 500, if we end up having a code enforcer, you're gonna have two people driving different directions, so
Yeah, that's
you
true.
may want to increase that.
What do you want to increase it to?
700? 800?
Let's do 800.
Anything else on zoning administrator?
Zoning Board of Appeals.
This is Ron's budgeting.
It looks like we're going to the raises there, so I think we've got 75 for members. We've always kept it the same between Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals. 120 for the chair. They don't have very many meetings, though. So, you'd have 75 times 4.
5.
No, because you got a chair. It's
Oh, that's
5.
right, 4. Sorry,
So 75, so that's 300 plus 120 for the chair.
110, right?
We went to 120.
Why do I have 110?
Hold on, I'll look, hold on.
Well, I said, that seems like,
We went to
We-
hundred and
We
twenty.
did that with the
But-
PC.
See?
Did
we
that.
did that
Yeah,
with
but
the
the
PC.
PC, Ron said it was be 108. Or
I know, but then we
106.
rounded that to 110, but then we talked about they do a lot of work.
All right,
The chair, you're just talking about the chair.
just the chair.
Yep.
Right, just the chair, 75 for the members. So then it looks like he's planning on 6 meetings. And that's plenty. So 420 times 6 is 2520. He's got 2,500. 2,500 is probably good. They're not gonna
If
have,
they have 6, I'd be surprised.
right, yeah. Right. And then the recording secretary. It'd be 106 times 6. Which comes to 636. Not sure where he got 900 in there.
Make it 700.
Yeah, let's just make that 700. And of course, the Social Security and Medicare will be recalculated,
Mhm.
postage, mileage, meal lodging. Education and training, I think
I think
they
that's all
have
good.
access to that, they don't often take advantage of it.
Well, somebody did,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a nice change.
Yeah. But do you think 500 is enough for,
Yes.
Yes.
and then what about?
Until, you know what, until that board changes up a little bit and you get a new member on there. They're not gonna get any more training. Roberto, I
Yeah.
think, is the one that did the training
Yeah,
and he wants it.
yeah. And what about the 600 for publishing? Is that good?
I think so.
Okay, so moving on to Historical Society.
I do know Luann's been working with the planner.
Yeah, she just turns in some time. We just paid her for something this week.
That's what it was.
This
She
week's-
sat down with the planner and they went over.
Well, there was some other stuff on there too, but anyways, that has been very inactive.
So you want to drop it down to 1,500?
I mean, she's told me a few times that she's gonna come in and start doing things again on a regular basis, and then that hasn't happened. I think we could leave it at the 2,500. And then the wages would be for, I think, didn't we set an amount for Historical Society members? At one point, they didn't get anything. And we said they should get something.
Ron's got notes in here about, if you look at 14.
Yeah, I see $50 for the first hour or portion of an hour.
But that's for but Luann is the
Second,
chair and
yeah.
then she also takes the minutes and does the minutes. So that's the 50, but apparently that would go to 53. With other recording secretary wages. But, no, I guess we didn't ever set anything for, members.
No, I had some stuff blanked out. I had
No.
You look at the same sheet.
raises and then I had them X'd out.
Ron raises the possibility of closing the Historical Society out
Right.
because there's no interest.
Right.
Due to lack of interest. Luann should be creating policy for items on loan or donated from other sources, lost items covered under insurance. Value should be set by Luann, then the board needs to provide insurance coverage. These are all the things he's thinking about, and I understand what he says, because when we created this 7,500 at the time we approved it, it might have been more in years
Oh,
past.
it was more in years past. We
Yeah,
took it down.
It
last
was
year.
under the understanding that we were creating a position of historical director.
Yeah.
And that certain things were supposed to happen under that, and it's
Yeah.
just never materialized.
Right.
Training was supposed to get, we were gonna pay for training for how do you put together a historical society, documentations and displays and, the
Cataloging,
whole
yeah,
package.
We have
And it never materialized.
Yeah, we have a Historical Society director job description, I believe, that we approved that says everything that's supposed to be happening. It's
Not happening under Luann Snyder.
It hasn't been happening since COVID. Before that, Luann was in here every week, doing something, typing things. I know that she was trying to, catalog things by family. So that
But
if
the point is, Cheryl, is she was supposed to get some training on how to actually do this.
right,
Instead of just taking
Right.
documents and typing in what you think it says, and now that goes with that.
yeah, I get it,
The big picture is not being developed,
right,
and if we ever want this material to be available for our citizens and their families,
yeah.
maybe we need to look at this in a different avenue.
The one thing I would say is that I do get phone calls to my office and sometimes people who stop in, people looking for historical information, and I want to have someone to refer them to, because I'm not going to take on the task of digging through and, oh, they want to know, something about the Smith family or the Jones family or something. I don't have time for that.
Luann is not,
Somebody needs to be able, we need to have somebody that's getting paid something to access those records for the public.
So
And
maybe,
I-
We can't just turn the public loose in there.
so
No.
for the purposes of this discussion, maybe what we're doing is leaving this as is, because I think that's a topical board decision to say, do we really want to, what do we want to do with it going forward? I think that's a lot more intense, complex conversation than,
historically, we have addressed it at budget time only.
oh, okay.
Well,
And maybe we
should make
should.
it-
Well, my thinking is that Luann's not gonna do this forever. And if we're serious about maintaining and retaining township history, which I think we should,
Yeah,
then
definitely.
we may have to put it out there. See if there's any other township residents that would like this job.
Yeah,
And maybe there's a retiree out there that has a passion for history,
Yeah.
like Larry Lake did.
Yeah.
That has lived here pretty much all their lives, or they've already been in with other historical societies, so they know how, and maybe what
Yeah.
software programs we're supposed to be using, you know, so that we can get some of this stuff online. I'm just disappointed
Mhm.
that the ball got completely dropped after we put so much money out there as an avenue to be able to do these things.
Yeah, and well, COVID came along and then Luann wasn't working in the building and then her mother came to live with her and I believe is still there. And those are extra demands on her time. And she also has another job
Now,
too.
yes, that's what I'm saying. I can see that Luann may have a passion for this and she loves doing it, but she don't have the time for it.
Mhm.
And there's just too much on her plate.
Yeah.
So I would like the board at some point to consider looking for somebody else to take it over.
Well, yeah, I don't disagree with that, Ardella. I'm just saying, I think it's a topic for the board to discuss at some point in the year. Because I think we should review the value of, do we go full bore or do we outsource it? Or, what are the alternatives?
I never even thought about outsourcing.
Yeah,
it.
so the question becomes I think you have to look at the full scope and I
Maybe everybody.
I have little to no knowledge on what a historical society.
It's usually a bunch.
Operational
It's
costs.
usually a bunch of volunteers. I've seen some small communities group together and make a society of a county because they don't have the help. But they
Yeah.
usually take a section of the pie and put,
Well,
here's
I
what
don't-
Whitewater is.
I've only ever had experience where I've actually went in and looked at stuff that historical society has put together, like a museum
Yeah.
of some sort. So that's the only experience I have. I do not have any experience on how to put that together.
Right. And
Well,
I
and
agree with,
here we do, like, I'm
go ahead.
sorry to interrupt, but we do have the job description that's kind
Okay.
of a guide on what we thought the historical director should be doing.
Well, it's a good springboard for
Yeah.
a topic then
Right.
for the
I mean,
board.
maybe jobs sharing is the way to go and look and see if we could branch out to, I'm sure Union doesn't have anything.
I don't know. Five Lakes got a wonderful museum.
They do, they have a museum, so if
Have
you.
you ever been through it?
Yep.
It's
And that's,
wonderful.
it is, and there's also, a lot of these towns have little teeny museums.
Yeah.
But do you reach out to the community, outside the community to try and focus getting more of a group together to run a historical society?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I just know that it does need to come back to the board. You're right, Don. For today's discussion, we're not going to solve any issues. I just want our board members to know that I feel we need to move forward with this and do something different. What we've got going is
I
not
look
working.
forward to your action items sometime during the year.
Okay.
The worst thing is I gave Luann a quilt. We gave Luann a quilt. My girlfriend and I did. It was made wool. The Lautner family started it. And it's got all these names on it. Most of them are in Kingsley. We couldn't get the Kingsley Historical Society to take it. We don't know.
As far as bringing this back to the budget items, I don't have any questions on anything till we get to professional services of $5,000, 804. And that was previously 500 with nothing spent. And so I don't know.
That goes back to Ron's note about possibly outsourcing,
Yeah.
alternate storage and working.
Oh, I see. So
Because
hiring
there's
and-
no
and-
storage in there. Those filing cabinets are full.
Yeah, I know that.
So a
They're
lot
all
of our
full in this
historical
building.
stuff is ending up over at Luann's house.
Right, I know.
And
Yeah.
That's not good.
that's not good.
good. No, because
Right.
it's probably not itemized or.
That's how things
inventoried
get
or-
lost.
But is the professional services $5,000 line item for an independent contractor, historical director or director and, or do you do away with the society? I do know they had at one point they were registered with the state as a business entity. the Historical Society was, but no one's kept up the reports and all that.
I think that additional $5,000 is encompassed in this 14 that he's got here. Maybe he's,
Contract with the county,
yeah, for storage,
yeah, okay.
because we're out of room.
What about the rest of the numbers under Historical Society?
There should be something under dues and memberships.
You wanna put 100 back in there?
Yep. That way, if anybody comes in and they want to be a part of a new or sign up for membership for historical society groups, to be able to get ideas off them, they've got a little money sitting there. And, someday we're going to have to put money under 475 or 847. Gosh.
It's not for support.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Pictures
but
and-
we need an actual software program that catalogs these things, that allows you to get this stuff out online. Right now, it's just Word documents and
Yeah,
so
Well, yeah, I
someday,
mean, just quickly, I mean, you're talking a lot of, at least we did some stuff back and for unrelated to this township. But the group that was doing it was working with was almost like an engineering of like a blueprint scanner. It was a up to 36 inches wide. And what happened, because historically there's a lot of documents of just
Are huge.
different sizes.
Right,
Different
right.
sizes. And so scanning and preserving that stuff electronically, there was an investment in a unit that was probably about as wide as this table and it allowed scanning. There's a variety of those, and those range anywhere from $2,500 to $10,000.
right,
But it was a nice tool to run through and then scan those documents. So now you could safely put your paper goods somewhere, but at your fingertips, your cataloging became easier because now I could find that, cross-reference it to
mhm,
where
Yes.
that may be. And so,
right.
so I guess I do know a little bit about it, but enough to be dangerous. So,
not sure, sounds like maybe he needs to head this up. He's
so,
got
so
experience.
my point being is I think a
plate,
long-term solution is probably what we should be.
I already got some ideas for you. I'll email them later.
But I don't think to your point, 847 is probably something that would be talked about in
Yep.
the scheme of a longer plan.
Yep. I think first of all, we need to get something in the newsletter and see if there's anybody out there in the community that wants to step up and help Luann.
We do have the April newsletter coming up. We could do a nice article in there about needing members for our historical society, trying to get people that have that passion for history to
Right,
come check us out, maybe do an open house where we invite them in, talk to them, that kind of thing.
Could be a gauge of interest. I mean,
Yeah.
if nobody shows up, then the decision starts to become pretty easy which direction to go.
Yeah, it'd just be like a meet and greet type thing. Doesn't even have to be, a town hall or anything, just an open house. Come see what we got, come listen to us, tell us what you're interested in, kind of thing. I mean, if you look on our walls here, we've got a lot of history sitting right here on our walls
mhm.
already.
But I will say that, Luann does know a lot about the history of Whitewater Township. And, she has, talked to lots of people through the years, and she used to help organize that Williamsburg school reunion, which I don't think they've held, because of the COVID and it's all elderly people and stuff. But she does know a lot about that. It's like, I think you're right. She just doesn't have the time to devote
Or the
to
help.
it.
Or the help.
So what
Or
good
the-
is it?
all the other members died. of
Yeah,
the
they did.
Historical Society.
Well,
They died.
when I was talking to Randy and his wife
Wow.
and they interviewed Luann, they said they would be interested in being members. So maybe we need to put out a little blurb in the newsletter.
Well, we can do more than a little blurb. But what good is it, Cheryl? Somebody have all that knowledge if we have no way to share it,
Oh, no, I get it. I get it. Yeah, I get it.
that's what we need.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
We need somebody who can organize the historical society better and keep it moving forward and, get back to having meetings again.
That takes a
People
team, more than
came
one.
To some of their meetings sometimes, and offered some help and, or had some information to relay or whatever. I mean, they had monthly meetings for years and years and years and years. Way back.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah. So anyways, any other changes to historical society budget?
You got the dues and membership changed to 100?
Yes.
Okay.
Down to liability and workers' comp insurance. I do want everybody to know that we get a premium, that we have to pay. And then we get a dividend. Or is it a dividend, Lois? Or I forget what that is, but anyways, we put that back to this line item. So these numbers here, the 10,365 and the 2844. Those are not what the amounts were that we had to pay up front. That's what we wound up paying after we got money back.
So they're the net numbers.
They're the net numbers. So I mean, I don't remember last year. I think it was 13 something.
I don't have that.
I don't remember for sure. I can pull the detail on that for a different meeting. But I really think those should go to 15 and 5, just to make sure. And then I remember there was some talk of switching insurance companies. And I don't know what anybody's done about that. I'm quite happy with the participating plan. We've never had a problem getting a claim resolved through them. Very professional. And if somebody wants to do, go and check out rates or something, then they would need to bring that back to the board. Don't know if they'd be higher or lower than what we've been paying, but I would urge we adopt 15,000 and 5,000 in those two line items, just to make sure, because
Cheryl,
insurance-
I'm trying to remember what you told me about the workers' comp. Workers' comp, we pay out as somebody's claiming, or that's just an actual rate?
No,
What
that,
am I
you're
thinking
thinking
of?
of unemployment,
Unemployment, okay.
right? That we're a reimbursing employer. We don't pay monthly for unemployment.
So the
Okay.
dividend we get back, for lack of a better term, comes within our fiscal calendar year.
Yeah, it does, yeah. All right, is everybody good with going to 15 and 5
Yep.
on those two?
Yep.
And then contingency, the 20, I think that's good, same as before. Capital expenditure, 75,000. I don't know. We're gonna need, well, is there a note on that? I
Yeah,
guess
yeah.
there is.
There is.
Okay,
25 grand for paint, flooring, moving,
Okay, new hall
40
lights.
heating, bathrooms and lights.
I mean, I'd rather put that money towards adding on to this building myself, but.
Well, year after year, we put that in to do this
And we
stuff,
never
and we
do it.
don't do it because nobody's got the time.
Yeah, nobody's got the time to go get quotes, look at materials.
I mean, I
Quotes
got
on
quotes
lights.
at
I
one
had
time.
quotes on all new lights. And UV fans and everything else.
But nothing ever came of it, so.
Nope.
Well, yeah, there was a quote about that. The Ron got a long time ago and I told him he had to take it to the board and it never came to the board.
I got a quote
And
for all
then
the painting.
finally, Chief Flynn got tired of all the lights that were out in here and he came over here and replaced all the bulbs. And the ballast that needed to be replaced. And since he's done a couple in my office that went out since. So right now, we have all the lights are working.
Well, this was more detailed.
Yeah, the
This was
porch light is
putting new
out.
fans in, this was
Yeah, I
putting
saw the
UV.
quote. It was for like $8,500 from Chris Coons a couple years ago now.
To replace these lights?
Well, it was gonna be, they were gonna take out all these and put in 8-foot LEDs and new fans and,
And the fans were gonna have UV stuff on it so that when you turn off the light, they clean. I have quotes on that too.
I mean,
But the flooring, I don't think we mess with this floor that looks so nice. I know it's ugly, but Usually there's not good stuff under those kinds of floors.
Well, we've already had that checked out. We've already had that checked for asbestos. We had a quote from Home Depot. In fact, we got
Was there any
that
asbestos,
updated a
Cheryl?
couple. No, I
Was-
just said there
okay.
was no asbestos.
No, you just said you had it checked. You didn't give me the results.
Oh, I thought
Okay.
I said there
No.
wasn't any. Yeah, we had that all done. We have a report on that and everything because Home Depot said we can't do anything until you have this checked to make sure there isn't asbestos in here. So we have that done. And so yeah, that's been done, but I mean, for
I think
instance,
all of
I'll
the,
just let you know, for instance, in my office, the floor is sinking in there at my one file cabinet that's way over in the corner over here. And the floor is doing something in there because that drawer used to stay shut and now that drawer doesn't stay shut. It's always open. You can, so yeah, there's something, I mean, this building is very old. And it was, I believe, 98 the last time anything was done to this building when Randy Stites was the supervisor. And they redid the shingles and different things. We don't have ADA bathrooms. Some things need to be done to
I
this
think part
building.
of why we didn't do, I mean, because I got quotes, you got quotes,
Right,
Ron got quotes for all the things that are listed here. And
Right.
then we did the facilities needs.
Let's
Yeah.
see,
CEA
Yes.
2A,
So everything was put on hold until we got that information back.
right, yeah.
Because why would we put $75,000 into this if we're just going to be building out that way? Why wouldn't we just do it all at the same time?
Yeah, you would.
I can see why Ron put that in there because woulda, coulda, shoulda has never materialized here.
I
Yeah,
mean,
but the C2,
CEA two.
AE.
What a name, huh?
Yeah, I mean, my recollection was the costs were pretty eye-opening. And so the question becomes is, if let's just say we're going to rebuild or do something different with the township hall, it's probably several years down the road, even if we started planning today.
So what do you
From a
need to
funding
do
standpoint.
now to make it?
So is the 75,000 now that study's been done and the costs are out
Yeah, but-
there?
We haven't had a meeting on it yet.
well, we had the one meeting, but it was not scheduled with the project, with the engineer's schedule in mind, so he wasn't able to be
Mhm.
here. And I said, we need to have him here the next time we discuss this, and so that hasn't been rescheduled. But they have a lot of information, engineering offices do, about funding that's available that you can go after, not saying you're gonna get it,
Mhm.
but they have various sources of funding, and we haven't, that they know about that we can apply for, and we haven't explored that for 1 minute yet. I mean, I do agree that it was for the fire station and the township hall, that it was a lot of money. However, I will tell you that this building is not, and I want to see the township have something that's going to take them through the next 20 years. This building is not going to take the township through the next 20 years. It's not going to take the township through the next 5 years. We don't have enough room to hold elections in here. When we get to this 9 days of early voting, you're going to have an entire week that room is going to be set up as a precinct, and there's going to be 0 meetings happening in here either during the day or at night, because we're not setting that up and busting it down every night for a meeting. That's going to happen a year from now, the 4th Tuesday of, and the 9-10 days before that, there's not going to be anything going on in this room, because it has to be set up for a precinct. Now, we can scooch it down and maybe not have it as big, but we're not gonna put this stuff away every night and rearrange the furniture and put it back to a meeting. No. We're not gonna
Well,
do that.
here's a thought. You have to set this up for voting, right? And what month is this gonna be in? That
Well-
you, for the votes?
Well,
these
right
elections.
now, election days can be May, August, November, And then every fourth year, you have a presidential primary.
Okay, I get that. Okay, that's
Yeah.
all I needed.
So
Now,
next year, there's a possibility of 4 elections in here. In the
okay,
calendar
Cheryl,
year,
can I
4
finish? I got an idea
and
for
each
you.
of those having, unless May would be the only one that might not be a state and federal election. But on any election that's state and federal, and next year that is going to be February, August, and November, 3 elections are going to be state, federal elections and are going to require the 9 days of early voting.
Okay, here's an idea. The school doesn't use all their rooms right now.
That's not an option.
Why?
I'll tell you why that's not an option. Because when you move a precinct, you move it permanently.
Oh, okay.
So we can't, there's no way the school wants us. over
Okay, end of
there
that thought.
for
Permanent.
all
We're
the
done.
Early voting and all that kind of stuff.
Then we're
Now,
done with
do
that.
some- Excuse me, I wasn't finished answering your question, Heidi. There are some municipalities who have a precinct, one of their precincts, because see, we're only a 1 precinct township right at the moment, but they're in the multi-precinct townships. Sometimes they will have 1 precinct that meets at a school, but we can't just move back and forth and say, oh, hey, folks, this time you're coming to the township hall, next time you're going to the school.
Right,
next time
because-
you're coming
right.
to the township hall.
Because they have to
No,
know
it's a
where to go.
permanent move.
And with that
We
being
don't have
said,
another
even if
building
you
to go to.
decided to do a permanent move, they'd have to have a way to secure that and you'd have to now be there 9 days. And
Yeah.
during the summertime, when their schools closed, they would
Yeah.
have to pay a
Right.
janitor
Oh, you'd
or
have to
somebody to
pay.
be in the building.
You're
Well,
gonna have to
we
pay,
have
you
to
probably gotta
have
pay rent too.
Here's,
Yeah,
I think, you know, this is along the same lines. This is along the same lines as what I consider it's sunk costs. You know, we had a conversation. There was conversations a year ago during the fire budget and talking about the antiquity of the fire engine and the fact that if it needed, it could need up to $50,000 or $60,000 worth of repairs. In the meantime, you know, before, if that happened, it would need to be done until the new engine
right.
was
right,
arrived.
Exactly.
And I almost look at this and say, it's the same situation. You know,
Yeah,
if the heat goes out in here, we're gonna have to
You're gonna
fix
have to
it. I mean,
replace it,
and if we're gonna have 9 days of elections, well, maybe some paint and the bathrooms. I just think that, you know, it's unfortunate, but absent a immediate better plan to develop a township building for the next 20 or 25 years, which is exactly what should be looked at.
right.
Anticipating that, I think you just have to chalk this up to potentially sunk costs. It's unfortunate, but we have 100+ year old building and
Mhm.
it's getting,
ad-
it's going to deteriorate a little more every day until the point where then we find ourselves in,
Scrambling.
what is it? Union Townships that's heating with a wood stove.
That's right, yeah.
And so,
Well, they've
And no
got
indoor
400
plumbing.
households.
yeah, I
Union,
was just using it
so-
as a.
Okay,
more-
here's a suggestion.
but-
It has to be the address. We have a little extra land around us. Why don't we lease a construction trailer and put the voting in the construction trailer? Cheryl, they're nice. They're like the Shangri-La now, so I don't want to hear it.
We leased a construction trailer when we did the fire station project. I was in stem to stern. I was in it. I know exactly what they look like. Bedrooms, bathrooms at each end, washer, dryer, living room, kitchen, all that kind of stuff. Been there. We're not voting in a construction trailer. There's no
Okay.
way. It's not enough room.
But
This
that's not,
isn't enough room.
okay.
We're not gonna vote in a construction trailer.
All right, let's not call it a construction trailer. We'll call
what you
it
call
a, well, because you gotta start somewhere, because usually they'll design the trailer for your needs. So if you call a company and you say, I need to rent a construction trailer and I'm gonna need 6 desks in there and I'm gonna need a bathroom, you get to design the interior of what you're renting.
14 by 70 is the size of usually the largest one, and that's 980 square feet, and that's, we can't do it. with that.
Okay,
No,
so
we
how
need-
much square
we need a
feet do you
big
need,
room.
Cheryl?
I guess I'm in
I
favor.
mean,
of
we
leaving.
actually have regulations, and we aren't meeting them about how many voting booths we're supposed to have out per, there's supposed to be a voting booth for every so many people. I think it's 180 or something like that. And we can't even meet that here. That's one of the things that I spoke to David Jensen about when when I was able to meet with him, the C2AE architect. I told him about some of these election requirements and things like that. I mean, it's getting more difficult to run elections in this building. And I think maybe what we need to do, so Don, I agree with you, put some money in here for right now. But I think if we aren't gonna be able, and like you say, it's gonna take years, or a couple of years at least of planning to come up. That would be if you came up with a new building.
Mhm.
Okay, maybe what we need to do is chop these trees down out here.
Do an
and
addition
put
that
a-
way.
Put an addition on this, expand the parking lot, have, change the entrance. To get, some security in here. We have no security in this building.
At one point,
whatsoever.
we had an option to be able to buy that property next to us, which is still up for sale.
But we do go to the pine trees.
Yeah.
No,
I
no,
go
I
all the
get
way
that,
to the
I get that.
trees.
But if we had that property over there, which
Right.
would have been not. I
Yeah.
mean, at the time, they were selling it for like $15,000 or something
No, they
silly.
also have.
We should have
modular
bought
office
that
complexes.
because being able to have a circle drive entrance
Yeah,
would be
well,
ideal.
I've said, and I think I told maybe David Jensen this, that really there should be, if you stayed here. And once again, this is really a commercial building in a residential district, and that's the biggest reason to not stay here. But you could put something, an addition on here of some sort, and you could have a drive that came in, you came in down there, and then you exited out this drive. Of course, we have all parking behind the building. I mean, you could do a lot here,
The thing is, Cheryl, is you make a point that this is commercial building and a residential. This is a historical building
I know.
where
it
the
is.
downtown used to be,
Yes, and
and
actually.
it turned residential.
And my thought has always been, after working in this building for over 10 years and coming to meetings here for 6 years before that, that this would be a great place to have where the historical could have their things out as a community center. We have nowhere in this township for anyone to rent some space. We have I get calls on that every year. I get 3 or 4 calls. Hey, can we rent the township hall? No, you can't. That's a policy. And of course, we have all this furniture in here. But, so that might be something that, no, I'm not advocating this building would be abandoned. It would become something else.
I don't, if we were to add on to this building, I would not see it as a waste of funds. Even if a new building that's combined with the fire station 15-10 years down the line, I still wouldn't see this as a waste of funds because just what Cheryl said, that it would be utilized in some way in the benefit of the township, the citizens here. Whether it's a historical society, combination library, senior citizen center, something that would be able to give back to the community.
Yeah.
The use of this building.
Yeah.
So
Okay, Cheryl, how big a space do you need for elections? Just give me the dimensions.
Well,
How
I
big
gave
do you
all the
think you need?
information to David Jensen, and I'd have to pull that back out now. I don't have it right on the tip of my tongue. So anyways, I think we need to keep moving on here because we have a limited amount of time. So we can keep the 75,000 in there. If we want to allocate it to that, fine, whether it gets spent on that or gets spent towards, coming up with a design for an addition or something, I don't know. But at this point, I don't really see the reason to do new fans and lights in here.
if we don't know what we're gonna do.
Right. I mean, the worst of it in the summer is that we don't have air conditioning in this building. you
Yeah, that's
know.
fun. We got a window unit over
Most
there.
people
Right.
don't have that. You see,
No, I
or
got rid of
they're-
my window unit, remember, because, and actually, but then this one has to be on quite high for us to get, you know,
What happened to
cool air
yours?
in there. Well, it was super old, remember?
We just need to
Super.
buy you another one.
Well, we could do that, but that's
Yeah.
only gonna be $300-400 or something, but anyways,
Right, so
so
we're
are we
moving
done with
on.
general fund then?
She wouldn't give me a
What about transfers? He's got 122,000. That would be 16. Oops, sorry about that. Recreation K is 7K, road 25, fire cap 40, fire fund 50.
And I don't know if the road, I don't know what we need for the road fund. I know he's probably thinking about brining.
Can we put-
That's
can we
only
put a-
one Brian. He's got a note on here. It's only one Brian.
Can we put a pin in this and call it revisit
Revisit, yeah.
so we can have a
Well,
bigger
and
discussion on
also
it?
transfers out, I mean, that needs to account for, that number needs to be, remember, there's that park fund money that's going to the boat launch that is gonna have to be, some of it transferred back out, because now that that thing is, we've awarded a bid, we're gonna have to, you know, we're gonna have at some point here this fiscal year, we're gonna have expenses for that, and there's not enough money in the park fund to cover it.
Mhm.
So, that also needs to be taken into account, how much of that is gonna be going back to the park fund.
I think that'll, once we see the schedule, the firm schedule, I think
Yeah.
that'll help determine when
Right.
that needs to happen.
Right, yeah. So, okay.
But
so
we
it's-
would account for it here. The general money would be going back to the park fund, so we'll want to
And I
take a
think
look at
we
that.
need to revisit this then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I said, let's revisit it when Ron's here. We can have a discussion about it.
I mean, otherwise, you're setting up a situation. If you leave that money in the general fund, you're gonna be setting up a situation where those expenses will have to be paid out of the general fund. And then the park fund is, to see what's been spent on the park, you're gonna have to look at the general fund and the park fund.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants that. I think it's just
Right,
a
I
question
don't
of how
think
much and when.
I like to see things as clear as possible.
That's exactly right.
Simple. No, I don't want to have to jump back and forth. It's as clear as mud if you have to. So,
So
We'll
moving
figure
on
it
to
out.
road fund. Anybody got any, and I don't
Why,
have.
why the dip in the Metro Act, actual through January is 10,000 and then there's 9,500.
Cause they
What-
decide how
what
much
is-
they're gonna give you.
Well, no, we've
What-
gotten more than we budgeted.
Okay, yeah, but I'm saying, is that something that's, I didn't.
why did Ron decide that it was gonna be 9,500?
Less, yeah, that was good. Why is gonna be less?
I think because we did the year before is
Okay.
9,500.
So just
9,100.
it turned out to be a windfall of some sort.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
No, last year, Cheryl, I'm saying we budgeted 9,500. So I think you just budgeted the same.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
You only have one Brian.
I'm
in there.
not sure if we ever,
That's,
And the transfer in, there's his reference for the 25,000.
mhm.
But you only got one Brian.
no, last year we had two Brian's.
I'm saying in his budget, he says number 17 note appears to only be one Brian fee.
No. No, we didn't pay $30,000 for one Brian.
And we're not gonna this year either.
No,
It'll
it
be
was-
at least two
it
Okay,
was two.
for that.
but
I
that's what
didn't think
his
we did
note
that.
says.
Yeah.
So how
Well,
much is
There was a
one Brian?
Bill, there was a bill late. November.
Yeah, for the second one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
really
no, I
late.
know we did too, and I know we didn't pay 30,000 for one Brian, so.
No,
that-
it was like, I think the first one was like 18,000 and the second one was
I
14.
think it was 16, it was
16?
16 something. Yeah.
But it
and-
was-
And Park paid a small amount of it, like $600 or something like that. But no, this is two brines right here. So 36,000 is gonna cover, well, we hope, two brines for this year.
But what I was referring to was his note.
Right.
17 says one brine.
I know, but it's incorrect.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
what we
why I
just-
asked how
that's
much
what we
one
just
brine was.
discussed.
I
I
get
think
that,
it's-
Cheryl.
I think he was questioning.
Yeah.
Well,
no,
yeah,
we
'cause
didn't
it
pay
keeps
that amount.
going
He
up.
knows what the
Remember how
contract
much
is.
it
He
went
has a
up?
contract.
I just
It's
remember.
it was 16 something.
Yeah.
Which is up way up over what.
It's
we
almost
ever
double.
paid, but- I mean, we used to pay 5,000 something.
That's what I thought. So it's almost
Mm.
doubled, it tripled.
What about,
So the streetlights, he's got that higher. We budgeted 2,500 last year, but it's 12. Year
the cost
before it
of
was
streetlights
15.
has gone down because some of them are LEDs now. And so
So
we
do
don't
need the
pay as
2,500?
much.
Yeah, the initial replacement of a LED costs more,
Yeah, right.
but the
Yeah.
ongoing maintenance
Yeah.
is substantially.
I mean, we've got one light that it's zero every month.
Mhm.
We're not even getting billed for that. Yeah. What do you want to, do you want to make that 2,000 even the year before? No, we haven't paid all the bills yet, but. I think you could make that 2,000 easily.
I'm okay with that.
That's 2,000. Anybody got any other? Questions on that?
I do not.
Nope.
We've got 35,000 in contingency here on it. So even if the brining goes up and the 36 doesn't cover it, we got money in there to cover it.
Or we
Yeah.
find with the park,
Right.
with the park work that we have to do something
Yes,
again,
yes,
so.
agreed.
On the road repair replacement fund, Ron's got. For that line item 452 Metro Act fees, we don't, that's not a line item in that 204 fund. All the Metro Act fees go into 203, the road fund. I'm not sure why that's in there, but. So we've just got interest and transfers from other funds.
So he's got transfer from others funds at zero, but every year we always put something in there. Are we not going to this year?
We always usually.
Well, we
put
didn't
between
last year
50
either.
and 75, no, because you put it towards the fire truck.
Yeah, well,
Well, and my problem with the whole thing is there's 400 and some $1,000 sitting in there and we have. I realize that's not a lot of money, but we are not the piggy bank for taxpayers and we're not supposed to be sitting on. Hundreds and thousands of dollars of taxpayer money for long periods of time.
Well, do you want
We
to
need
take some out of
find
that?
out what we can do with some of that money. I see they did do a major fix on Cook Road. This last year.
That was surprising, wasn't it?
And
They actually did a
yeah,
whole
They,
half of,
that
like,
road was
quarter of an
super
acre.
bad. But I mean, that money's just been sitting.
when is their
We're not
millage
gonna use
coming
it on
due?
roads.
for
Where they
who?
have to go back out for the voters to say yes or no?
I think they just had it on the ballot, didn't they?
The road commission?
Not, was it in August? No? Well,
No,
that was
not
the
yet.
year
No.
before then.
Nope, not yet.
It's
20.
2024 is,
Yep.
that's when it comes back around.
Is it?
This
Yeah,
new
I'm
method
pretty
that
sure.
they have of how much money they're going to give to
Kids
townships
are building a bridge.
is, it hasn't gotten a whole lot of press that I've seen, but I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't pay a lot of attention to the local press either. But, I
Yeah.
don't know. They want us to commit to projects. And they're only going to give us, what was it,
265,000.
33,000 or something. like that.
33,000 a
Oh,
year.
33,000 now. Awesome.
It's a year.
I know, that's like.
So by the
apple.
fourth year, if you don't do a project with them, they take the money back. Isn't that right?
I don't remember what the.
Yeah, that's what it is. So, and they just sprung that on all the townships that was never approved by the Grand Traverse County Commissioners. Who oversees them?
Well, they just appoint them. They've made that clear.
They're
They
all
just appoint.
appointed.
They don't,
They're
they're
all
not their
appointed.
boss or anything like that.
So we've got a bureaucracy that nobody oversees.
Yeah, the
Pretty
county
much,
commissioners oversees the road commission, and those are all appointed positions.
they're all appointed.
Well, but they don't set their policy.
Right, yeah.
No, they
they're-
set it
Don't- they
amongst
don't set Their
themselves.
policy.
They're an
No,
autonomous
So
board.
that's
It's
right.
set,
that
they do their own.
They appoint. Rob Henschel made that clear at a meeting not that long ago. So anyways,
So either we have to decide what we're gonna do with that 400,000 or put it someplace else.
now
well-
Ron's got road repair down here on, under 935. It looks like old notes, 11/10/2020.
If you look at 18,
He
it
says
says
no road.
no
repair.
specific road repair is planned.
I took that to mean he hasn't identified a road. I think the money's there, but he's not
That's what
saying,
I took.
it's
it
not saying
as,
it's this road or this road. I think that's to be, I took it to
determined.
be determined. Which road would,
Well, if we're planning on
But
doing a
then-
road, we
but-
need to
but-
transfer money to this account because what the town, what the road commission does. As far as paying any portion of it, they pay diddly squat.
But
So-
here's the problem. So Ron's got 200,000, but he doesn't have a specific road plan, so he has put. That, you know, we could spend 200,000. We already have that in the fund. We don't need to transfer any more money to get to that. And once again, you know, I think in other townships, they're finding that road special assessment districts have to be set up in order to get, you know, we have to have the citizen involvement. That's the only other way to do it. We have to have some kind of contribution from the people on the road, and I get it, that's not a real great solution. In fact, I think I just read something recently that now that statute applies to private roads too, which it never did before.
Now, see, in my deed restrictions, we have it spelled out.
Well, we had a road special assessment district here for 10 years.
Yes, we did.
so
And so anyways, we're familiar with those, but you know, the not all the funding, you know, the county, they get the road money. We don't get the road money. This is already taxpayer money right here, the 400 and some thousand that's in there. And I'm just saying, I don't think any other townships are finding it feasible to do road work without having special assessment districts.
so Cheryl, is that possibly here in subcount 935? When you talk of the road repair, the note, there's more explanation there. Road repair, 434,000. Is that potentially the money that you're talking about that is sitting in that fund to put to use? And is Ron's note here proposing that 25% of that 110K be put forth? Now, why the 110K and the 200?
See, I
I
think
just
it's an
gonna-
old note because it says 11/10/2020.
5-year crack fill and 10-year chip.
But there is, as I don't have the cash totals in front of me, but it's like 417 or something like that, isn't Della, or 416?
I
In
don't
that fund.
recall,
417.
but. However, I should say not, but, there are things that we do have to, cost share with the county. Is this crack fill and chip one of them?
I think it is.
I think it is too.
Yeah.
We pay,
So, you know, maybe we should put a revisit on this so that Ron can answer the questions, is this an old note or not? And if he
Right.
has any ideas,
Revisit 935.
I would think so.
I think so, because he's got a little more knowledge on this. He knows where he's going. He has a plan.
And then the 5,000 contingency is the same that's been in there before. We basically, I mean, you can see, we haven't even spent any money out of this fund.
Well,
No
the thing
money
is
from
about
this
that
fund.
particular fund, $5,000 in contingency on a road fund, that's like spitting in a bucket.
It is.
Yeah.
How many potholes you fixing? Maybe 4.
No, how about not?
We probably don't need that in there.
I wouldn't think so.
Don't make that 0.
I would like to hold off on making that 0 and just
Until he-
double that, add that
Okay.
in the conversation with 935.
Revisit. okay.
Revisit.
Okey dokey.
Got it.
Thank you.
All right, we've already done fire funds. We've already done park fund. Although I see he's got some notes about park fund. Boat number 19, boat ramp fees reduced because of construction. Number 20, merchandising can be a real profit adder. 21, I assume these are the numbers in the recommended column that we agreed on before, but I haven't checked them. Let's see, note 21. Garbage fire starters, non-camper dump fees. Well, he's only got 1,000, but we did $1,821 with that before. But whatever, we can leave it at 1,000. 22. 6% proposed wage increase plus 45K for park manager. Okay, so he's got the 45 in the salaries.
And that transfer from other funds will have to be revisited if we decide to move park money back.
Right, well,
Yep,
just when.
so just,
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
revisit.
put a revisit there.
And let's see on the wages.
Note 22.
Okay, well, if park wages are going up 6%. $26.51 with a 6% raise. I show goes to 28.10. I might have done that wrong. Oh, I get 28. But anyways, if you were gonna do the 6% wages, you'd start at the beginning of the, we have to start at the beginning of the pay scale. And take the 17.
Taking year 1 and bleeding it out.
Right, and go across. 17. Plus 6% would go to 1802 for the first year. And then you'd have to move across. Then he's got sick time for long-term ranger, sick time for other 7 employees.
That's 72 hours. That's not in play
Yeah,
any longer. So that comes out.
I mean, without doing a bunch of calculation, I guess we must have. Did we lower that to 109,000? I don't have those notes with me here. That would typically be. I don't remember what we did in that regard.
Yeah, just put a pin in it because we're gonna have to check.
Right. We'll revisit that. And I was just going to the notes. We already did this fund,
Yes, we did.
but 23 additional travel between park venues. 24. Okay, he put that at theft, 16,000, consider adding health insurance line item.
I think with the health insurance, I think you should call it a stipend because I don't know how you're gonna get one person health insurance and get a deal on it.
I
Or
mean,
two,
I'm
or
not
three,
sure, I
or
mean,
four.
how are you gonna give health insurance? You can't just give health insurance. I know it was done, it was given a stipend to one person in the township. But,
Because we only had one full-time employee. That's
Right.
why
right,
it was offered as
but
a,
now we have Brandon. And the park ranger or the park manager is basically gonna be a full-time employee. Which I wonder if that's gonna make them eligible for the pension.
I'm sure,
It says except seasonal employees is an exception.
but they're gonna be
that's-
working all year.
but seasonal, yeah, right, yeah. So I think the park manager is gonna be eligible for the pension, which is gonna be 10% of their salary.
Should use some of that as negotiation tools.
Well, but the pension plan ordinance says
That's not.
who's eligible
yeah,
for the
that's not
pension.
Negotiable.
That's not negotiable. I don't think we haven't ever had that
But
one.
what line is that?
Well, I'm trying to remember. I'd have to look at township board.
I don't think we have that under park.
Nope.
No, we never have because we haven't never had a full-time person.
Right? So I'm gonna put a note here.
Pension plan is 830.
Yeah, right in here.
Sub account 830.
Yeah, 830. So 830. That would have to be $4,500. But back to the health insurance thing.
Where did you add that 4,500 in, Gerald? I know.
Well,
sub
I
account
just
830
penciled in 830, like kind of between 823 and 851
In
park fund.
park fund. Thank you.
Just going down the notes here.
Yep.
On here. And then we were at note 24, consider adding health insurance.
Under theft. Wait,
And what
it'd
do
be
we-
nice to come up with a different name for that.
Yeah,
Well, they.
Well,
have
because we're
some-
accounting for
kinda-
$16,000 worth of theft.
it is kind of theft. Health insurance is kind of a
I'm
theft.
sure we
I
can-
do agree with you on that one.
We can probably get rid of that line item out of here or rename it or something as long as.
Let's rename it.
Although health insurance is further down would be. We would, no, we have to keep it under whatever it's called in the general fund. We have to keep it under that in the park fund too.
So it'd be
Those
830 goes underneath 865 department. Right?
It'd go above it. And then see health insurance, that is Department 852 and 714. Okay, so what I'm thinking of the fire department is they don't have health insurance, but they have the AFLAC, which is 713 other benefits. So that's what we did for
There
them.
you go. Change it to that then.
So maybe if you did anything, it would be AFLAC.
I'm good with that. Change it to that.
Well, what I'm telling you is though, that the department number for that is 852, so that's gonna be further down on the page. So for instance, on this page here, well, if you're, yeah, the page where theft is at the top. And you see where you got 862, Department 862, Social Security, Medicare, it's gonna go ahead of that because it's a separate department. So it'd be Department 862. No, I'm sorry, where's health insurance again? 852, I'm sorry, it'd be 852. But we don't do that in the fire fund. We just have it under the regular, in the fire fund, we just have it under the regular department, fire department. So because it's not really health insurance. So I
The-
wonder
the
if that's
Aflac?
supposed to be under that 852 employee health insurance. Well, it's called other benefits. That line item 713 in the park fund, I'm sorry, in the fire fund is called other benefits, and that's where the Aflac premium goes. But it just dawns on me that may be supposed to be under this department 852.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess we need to revisit this portion. Because we can plan for the pension. But as far as health insurance is concerned, the 852,
Right.
probably gonna need to get some quotes on that.
And that's gonna go by age.
And then, see, the problem I have with it is,
Unless, of course, we as a
You're-
board decide to give a stipend, that's how we're covering health insurance.
well, here's what it is with the fire fund. It's all the firefighters and the chief. So so then why not under park, why would it not be the manager and all the park rangers?
Because they're seasonal
And they're
and our
part-time.
fire department is a completely different category and they're all year round.
Yep.
And we were adding that Aflac as a benefit because they've got such a dangerous job. I don't see the two as
That's
comparable.
not even
Apparently,
close.
So,
Using it at all, but
well, Jeremy does. Jeremy's
Jeremy's not part of the fire department anymore.
Well, I know, but he did. And,
Yeah.
and he goes over there all the time and he talks to him. There is another one. Not Dave, there was another fireman that said he used it. You remember his name? Anyway,
Yeah.
when we were having one
did.
of our we saw meetings there, he spoke up and he said he's using it.
Oh,
So
good,
the more you
good.
talk about it, the more they'll realize,
Yeah,
hey, this
yeah.
is. But I don't see the two things the same. I'm not sure what we're providing to the chief. I can't remember. Health insurance wise, if we're just
Nothing.
doing,
Just
well,
Aflac.
yeah, well, maybe we need to offer a stipend if we're offering a stipend for the park manager. Let them buy their own. You give them a stipend, they can go out and purchase their own. Because to find something for 2 employees is near impossible without it being astronomically high.
Just 2 adults over 60 is about $1,700 a month.
Yeah, I talked to Don's cousin Kevin, who's in insurance, and that's what he told me. So,
Yeah, right.
Well,
Not
I'm
my
paying, I'm over
Wow.
60, my husband's over 60, but we're not 65. I'm paying almost $1,800 a month. And that's not Cobra or anything.
And see, when we talk about all that, I go, why doesn't the board have health insurance?
right, or at least a stipend,
You know?
to help pay,
me,
because you may
giving it
already have
to-
life or health insurance
Right,
through another provider and you don't want to give it up, but you're paying for it out of your pocket. So a
Yep.
stipend
right.
helps you pay for that health
Right.
insurance.
Right.
So,
But then do you see what I'm saying about only applying that to certain people? I don't know if that's really legal or not to have benefits that only apply to
But
certain people.
I think the reason why it's different for us, Cheryl, we've looked into this in the past, is because we're considered elected officials, not employees.
Right?
No, I get that, but I'm just saying, I'm just telling you, we talk about this at the clerks meetings. Almost everybody else has health insurance
Well,
through their employer, paid in full.
well,
Not paid in full.
A lot of
I have health insurance through my husband, but I have to pay for it.
Right, yeah.
He has to, everybody's a shared cost these days. Nobody,
Nobody's
it's
taking
unheard
it
of
for
to
free.
get
They-
medical that's
They
paid by the
may
employer.
have some
100%.
copays on their, when they go to the doctor and stuff like that. I don't know about all those details, but I do know that there's a lot of the bigger townships, at least, that do provide health insurance to all of their employees. And so where I'm going with it is, as this township, gets bigger and whatnot, what is going to be the policy on health insurance? When is it going to be offered? And when isn't it? You know, because to me, to just have a couple people that are getting a stipend for health insurance, when that doesn't apply to the board, I don't see that as being particularly legal. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm already on Medicare, so this doesn't really apply to me. But
Yeah,
I'm
but yes,
talking
it
about
would.
other.
Yeah,
No, excuse
Technically
me,
it
Heidi,
would.
I'm almost done. I'll give you the floor. I'm talking about other people, younger people who come in and replace. And I've had at least one person tell me that was thinking about running for office here after they found out we don't have health insurance. Oh, no, I have to have health insurance. So that is a factor in people deciding to run for office or not, is what are the benefits for the people who need them,
Right.
you know? So, because they can't go along and have health insurance and then all of a sudden they come here for 4, 8, 12, 16 years and they don't have health insurance, or they have to now pay it out of their pocket type thing, which is what I did, you know, for many years before.
Yeah, I
you
did
know.
the same before
Right.
Don got insurance through his
Right.
employer.
So I think that's a sticky subject, the whole health stipend thing, because to me, it needs to be offered more widely, or you don't offer it at all.
I think you'll have to, I agree with you. There's gotta be rules around it.
Yeah, there
Just-
does.
I don't think it's a pick and choose.
Yeah,
I think there's
Because
going to be
even-
very specific guidelines that say, if you do this, you have
Right.
to do this and this class.
right.
It's way above my pay grade, but
Yeah,
Well, I can tell you, the decisions we made in the past had to do if you were a full-time employee or not.
Mhm.
And we have very few of those in our
Mhm.
township.
Right. But that was.
That was simplistic.
Right, yeah,
But
Yeah.
to Cheryl's point, if it, things start to get more complex with development in the township, I mean, 5 years is a short time,
yeah, it really is.
so.
And
So
then if you
anyways,
have
I guess
people
we're gonna
leaving,
revisit
then you
it.
gotta revisit it.
We're gonna revisit this health thing.
But Cheryl, just because you're on Medicare doesn't mean you don't have any other added expenses. So whether the person's
Tell me.
zero, well then, okay,
No,
so you
Medicare
can't
doesn't-
say.
That's a rude awakening.
Well,
Medicare doesn't pay for
But see, but
everything.
Cheryl, what I'm saying is, you would be able to get the same stipend too, to assist you with Medicare.
And that's what I'm saying.
But
that
no,
it
you said you
should
didn't need
be
it, so-
Offered to board. Well, I said.
Otherwise, I
It
wouldn't have made
doesn't
that
apply
comment.
to me as much, but if you can't give it to one board member and not give it to all.
Nope.
So, I think that has to be.
All right, so in this park fund,
Right.
$9.99. Transfer out,
Well, that transfers too.
that's transfers.
So that has to. So I don't think the park fund is gonna be transferring any more money out this
No.
year, are they?
Mm-mm.
No,
Okay,
so it's the transfers too that we need to.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you
Revisit.
look at note 25, that would be incoming.
Well, and then I guess we skipped over capital expenditure, note 25. Ron's got where he came up with that number, but I don't see anybody doing any pavilion project out there this year. I mean, I don't know why you would bring in a restroom trailer for $100,000 when you can rent those portable toilets for much less.
Well, I think we were talking about replacing that unit out there by buying an
Oh, I guess
actual,
Maybe that's 10,000.
yeah.
No, I get it, but how many projects are you gonna bite off in 1 year? Somebody's gotta be,
Well, he's
You know.
got it listed out here, though. He's got the boat launch project listed out here for that
Right.
$772,934.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not,
right, but it wound up being what, 525, I
yeah, the
think?
602 was the contingency. That was
Right,
the contingency, that was the 525 plus the contingency.
right.
And then the 15,000 that's left on the F&V contract.
Well, I think there's more than that left on that.
Yeah, for the sake of argument, for the
Right.
sake of our discussion, we had just rounded to 15. Then there
Right.
was 30,000 which is the boat wash. Boat wash part of that. And then the trailer, like.
Oh,
which is-
that's project manager.
Oh, project manager, right, I'm sorry. The 100,000 for the restroom, like you saw, permanent solution, the 10,000 for the well, that was for the, that was for
Oh,
the
I
boat
see.
wash.
That's for the well.
Yeah, for the boat wash.
Because you do need another
And-
well.
And that boat wash, that well would service. Proximity wise, I think it would be designed to try to serve the boat wash. And the restroom trailer as
Well,
well.
I don't know if he's talking about that well, because the other well the well that's out there right now, we have had some problems with.
Right, and I think, didn't we talk about redundancy? Didn't we talk about putting in a second well? And,
Yeah, that's
and you're
what
right, maybe this,
That's what the last people who fixed it, our water pressure problem. Now, we didn't have this problem to speak of in 2022, not sure why. But in 2021 is when we had the pressure problems. And
Interesting, you should say.
the Berg well drilling said that the pump is too big
Mhm.
for the well
boring.
that's in right now. And they suggested having another well that would become the main well.
Yeah.
And then this one that's out there right now would become like secondary or something like that.
that might be it. I may be
Right,
I may be
yeah.
interpreting this wrong,
Right.
but
So I don't think in the whole boat launch thing, we chose the alternate for, the site prep. But I don't think there was well in there, was there for?
no, there wasn't.
That wasn't.
No, it was just the
Right,
site, just
right.
the site prep,
And I,
because we were looking at
Right.
going after a Sparks grant. We had
right,
the tribal 2%, which we all appreciate that they did.
yeah,
And then looking at a Sparks grant to potentially round out the rest of it.
right, yeah.
So,
Right. So anyways, I think that $100,000 is restroom trailer.
mhm.
And I just don't see spending $100,000 on a temporary trailer down there when the portable toilets work just fine.
I
But I
don't believe
don't
that to
think
be,
they
I
were-
don't believe that to be portable. I believe that is.
That
a-
is the
perfect.
replacement.
That is
That's
replacement,
replacement of.
rather than building a sticky brick and mortar building. I think we're talking, we were
okay,
looking
so
at
the
a
trailer
permanent,
set.
permanent
I see,
facility.
okay, yeah, well, okay, but do you have do we have $100,000 to spend on that? I don't think we do.
No.
You can always dream
Um,
and have an idea and have a
I
plan.
think
It
that
works.
772 number. And
I-
the thing about it is, currently, and the way things work, things move slow. So currently, there's, nothing been put in writing about this $100,000 restroom trailer. Or this $15,000 on the pavilion. I mean, before we build a pavilion out there, you're gonna want to look around at some other pavilions. The pavilion they have at Long Lakes, Twin Lakes Park is beautiful. And they did a super nice job on it. I don't know if we would want to put something like that here or not, but it's really an asset to the community, and people do rent it and they have weddings and all kinds of things out there, as they do at our pavilion,
Mhm.
but it's just not very nice, It's on the water though.
Right, yeah,
Which they like.
Right.
But to me, we could take out that 115,000 between those two items, because I just don't see the park getting to those things
I would,
this year.
I would like to leave it in at this point and let's get through the first pass total of numbers and we know we can come back to this.
Right. Okay, so
because-
revisit that.
Yeah, because
I don't know how big the room do you think is?
I mean, right
the pit toilets have been sitting there for a number of years and I think,
I don't know.
I think we should have more discussion about that because maybe the time is good, because the pit toilet,
Oh, they need to be done.
porta potties are costing us
A few
what,
grand.
few grand.
Well, they're
Kinda
$95
high.
a month for a regular, and we rented 2 of those. That's $190 a month. Then the handicap is $250 a month, so you got $440 a month in rental fees.
Okay,
And then you've got the cleaning fees, $30 a week. And then, starting right before July 4th, we have moved to twice a week
Yeah.
on the cleaning fees on all 6 of them, you know, so I don't remember what we spent on.
So we're running
Yeah.
probably about $5,000.
Well, we can look at what we
Oh, yeah.
spent on septic services. We've got 5450 in there, but remember that that is also pumping the tank at the end of the year, the first compartment of the first tank, we always get pumped. That's on the recommendation of the engineer. So that's, and there was even, I believe, 2 of those in here. Because what happened is at the end of 2021, it got too late and they didn't do it until the spring.
Mhm.
And so I believe those are 740 or have been 740 a piece. So you've got like about another $740 in there that normally isn't in there. But
And we've been doing it for a couple of years.
yeah, I just don't see where the money's gonna come
I-
from unless you're gonna get a spark grant. And I will remind everybody that the boat launch project has a deadline of December 31st, and that's to have all the paperwork into them too.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and I
that's
don't,
gonna be the
I
big
don't think
push.
that I don't see the restroom trailer to me is a completely different separate.
Yeah,
I think we're
right.
locked in on that 525 or 600 with the contingency.
Right,
And we know preliminarily that Molin's schedule is to get it done
right.
and by, I think the preliminary was starting right after Labor Day on the second part of that and having it done by the end of October.
Yeah,
That leaves us 2 months to get the paperwork in. So
Yeah.
I'm-
hopefully.
barring something unforeseen, I think
Right.
that's a very
Right.
realistic, doable schedule.
Right.
Okay, so, we're looking at, capital expenditures, correct?
Yes.
Yes,
I think we need to, if we're leaving a number in there for doing the boat launch, we need to go back up to line 8 or 699 transfers from other funds. I know I said we revisit, but I'd like to put a number in there. And then we can clarify the number.
to 699.
Yeah, transferring
Bottom
from,
of
we'd
the
be
revenue.
transferring the
Yeah.
park fund back from general to park.
Mhm.
And the amount that was transferred out, not including the interest, was 383,405.51. Back when we transferred
that
it,
much?
Mhm.
yeah, it was that much. There was money market and then park.
I thought you said at one of the last meetings it was 326 or something like that.
No,
Mhm.
no, I just pulled up my last meeting minute notes and looked at it.
Okay,
Why
it's
wouldn't
360.
Why wouldn't that transfer be the 525?
Because we don't, we already have 200,000 sitting there.
No,
Well, we
That's it,
will.
But we
we have
don't.
to apply to get that back.
So
I'm saying if
The grant money.
if the Mullen contract went to full, let's say no contingencies, no work change orders, we know that contract's $525,000.
Yes.
Change. So that, we know we know, it's anticipated that's done, package it up, buttoned up, and the paperwork gets into the Waterways grant by the end of the year. Waterways grant then is going to take some time to pay us back.
right,
Now, you said that we've gotten a little bit back for the F&V.
No,
No,
we
we
haven't
haven't.
applied for anything.
So I think you're looking at a $525 cash flow that I don't know if the Waterways grant will reimburse us before the end of the fiscal year or not.
the
I mean,
way
you're-
I look at it, Don, is I like to keep my transactions separate so that you can see transparency wise where the money's actually coming from. If we transfer back in the park money out of the general, that's one transaction, and then when we get reimbursement from the waterways, that goes into general, and then it comes into the park to make that solvent.
How are you going to pay Mullen then? Mullen does the work
Well,
for 525,000.
They're not getting all paid up front, though. It's an
But they're gonna
increments.
want to get paid when the project's completed.
They're gonna want to
Sure.
get paid once a month.
Yeah, I'm right. They're gonna get paid at those milestones.
Cheryl, how are we getting paid from the waterways grants when the project is complete? Or do we get paid in
They-
percentages?
In looking at what F&V had put under their bidding and construction detail, you know, in their proposal to us that we accepted and signed the contract, they will do those applications for us to the DNR. And, but, and it looked like, I think they said three.
Three
Where they would
payments.
apply 3 times for reimbursement of monies that we've, we have to show we've spent it. And then we could get the reimbursement for it, up to $200,000.
Do we know, you probably don't know this because we've never had a waterways grant. How does the payment come? Does it come in paper form or is it coming
I believe it'll
electronically?
come in electronically.
Yeah, okay, so it goes directly into the general fund,
Yep,
because all our Sigma goes to the general fund,
right.
general
then-
fund checking. I should-
Anything from the
So,
state
so,
goes to the
so
general.
then
fund.
that, doesn't then that say that you put the 525 in the contingency, and as the waterways fund money comes into the general fund, then you would transfer that out to 699 to offset the Mullen bill.
So. Actually, I don't need those.
I think we all
I
understand
need a
the
calculator.
dilemma. We're just trying to figure out. the
What are you
route.
doing? Hold on, I'll get it up.
No, I got it. Wake up. So it'll be an additional $140,088 and $8,800. I can't talk, $884.84 out of general. To make up that 524,290.35 that was in our motion for the
Correct.
project.
Yeah, assuming no work changes, no contingencies, that's the
Correct.
525, right? So we're looking, that's a baseline minimum of, I guess is what I would call it.
All right,
I-
so for transparency purposes, yes, we may be transferring all $1 amount, but we need to put it in our notes. What's the actual park money coming out of general that was transferred in, and how much is actual general fund money
I agree.
coming over?
I agree.
So you're right, down, the amount should be the 524,290.35.
That's what okay. Yeah. Thank you. I wasn't trying to be right. I just think.
No,
was
but
just trying to-
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So thank
Are
you.
you proposing putting that in 699?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
What's that number?
we
again?
said we were gonna come back and revisit it.
525,000,
So
525,000.
But she wants a number in there.
yeah, that's what he just gave her.
525,000 rounded.
That's what I suggested.
Okay, all right.
So green.
Okay.
And I still have a note that we're gonna revisit that in case Ron has.
Right,
other-
I think,
have
yeah, I
that
think we
too.
need to, yeah, absolutely. So.
Okay, so is there anything else that we were gonna talk about on park fund?
I don't think so.
And here again on the insurance, those are. And even in the fire fund, those are the amounts that were spent after we got a refund. On it, so I.
Our
don't know.
liability and workers' comp.
Yeah, so I don't
Okay.
know if those are. What I will find out is I will get what we paid.
I'm sorry, what's sub account again?
I'm on, the last page, 820 liability insurance.
Oh, got it.
821.
Okay, thank you.
I'll get what we paid on those.
You think those are net numbers again?
Yeah, I know they are.
Okay.
Yeah. And it would be the same with fire fund because we have general, fire and park is the way we have to have the bills split out from the insurance company. And we do the same thing with workers' comp. So now we're down to rec fund. And we never got to this before. I don't know. On this, the first one, this 95,917. The auditors made an adjusting entry on some grant funds that we got. And they want it, when it comes in, it's a liability. And they want it under unearned income,
Yep.
which doesn't show up on our thing here. I forget the number, it's 338 or something like that, I think. So when we first get the check, that's where they want that money. And it doesn't get transferred over into, so that's where it's gonna go. It's gonna go in there. Now,
So move from 590 to,
well, no, the account that we were told that it has to come into isn't a liability account that's not shown on the budget worksheet. So that's where that money's gonna go. I mean, for purposes of, it will eventually be transferred in here after you spend it, you know? But I guess we can leave it in there, just knowing that it's not gonna show up on a budget worksheet until we start spending that money. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not gonna come in here as income until you start spending it.
and Grand Traverse County is way behind. They haven't even begun to figure out their mechanisms yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
So
Yeah,
this,
I mean, I don't
unearned
understand what their
income-
mechanisms need to be figured out. They awarded money, they just cut checks.
Yeah, well, it got to do with that, whether, to the point, you and I were getting some emails from them on
Right.
how much they were gonna upfront fund, because they didn't want to deal with clawbacks in case somebody didn't do. And so
The due
they have been
diligence.
working with a third party, to the best of my knowledge of what I've been told, that they're working with a third party, trying to find a way to maneuver through that.
What do
Now
you mean
what,
callbacks?
clawbacks. So if they paid us the 95,917, they upfronted the money
Yeah,
and the project didn't get done. Well,
Oh.
then they want their money, the county wants their money back because they are liable to the state or the federal government for those funds.
right.
And so,
but
they-
doesn't their responsibility end when they give that money out?
Mm-mm.
And now it's that municipality that's gotten that money's responsibility to give it back to the federal government if they don't spend it.
Nope.
I understand that.
Because that's like doing two sets of books for reporting.
Yeah, that's.
I
right.
understand, my understanding from talking to Daryl Nelson a couple weeks ago was that they're stuck in the middle. And that's, I think, what they were trying to figure out. Can they get themselves extricated from the middle? I agree with you. The fact is that it flows in that route. It would flow back through that route with accountability.
Because we have to report. We have to do
Mhm.
reporting. So
So do they.
no, I get it. But the county's reporting, once they're gonna verify, yes, that we've spent the money. But to me, they just
Necessarily.
dole the money out and
Mm-mm.
worry about that later.
No,
you
it
know.
can't. There's a
Well,
process.
Well, I'm sorry, but we've been
I-
awarded that money. And also have all these other entities, and I happen to know there's some of them that can't do their project without the money.
Without the upfront.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
And so,
Agreed.
that's the problem, that they want to hold on to the money and like control everything, but actually that it's not their money. Well, they were awarded it, but it's coming from the federal government.
Right.
And so, they've got their reporting and then, we've got our reporting. So I think the federal government's gonna have an awful lot of reports, but I'm pretty sure that because I think they've already gotten a quote or a rough quote from Steve Largent that this, the Lossy Trail thing, which is what we got this money for, is gonna be more than this $95,917.
we're
So-
getting ARPA money from the county and we're giving ARPA money that was given to the township
Right,
to recreation.
right.
Not necessarily the trail.
So we've got two sources of funding that we have to account for coming
Right.
to this fund.
Right.
Ron is saying this 96,000 is from ARPA, right?
Grand Traverse
County.
County. Yeah.
From the county.
ARPA.
So where is the funds? Is that 28?
Who's doing?
Where is the local ARPA money? Are you asking for coming into the rec fund?
I'm sorry, guys. I didn't bring my glasses and I need to make this larger. No, I just made it larger.
Yeah, I
So-
agree with you, Cheryl. I'm not
Right,
contesting
right,
where it's
right.
here. I'm just saying that
Right.
Grand Traverse County still hasn't finalized what this, what
Right.
that's gonna look like. And I
Right.
think that causes us a little bit of a dilemma into how where
Well,
we book it.
because I don't know that we can do it without the money, so, in some way, they have to trust that the township's gonna do it. And, or whatever organization they're giving it to.
Mhm.
And if they don't, then yeah, they can demand it back. And that's probably a whole nother process,
Bunch of paperwork.
complicated process.
Okay, so he's got under other funds coming in. Transfer from other funds, he's got 100,000,
Mhm.
but in his notes, he says 6,926.26 is from general fund for federal fund ARPA.
That's,
No, there's 93,000. I'm sorry.
isn't that the,
Yeah,
Alright,
you
sure.
know what?
That's-
We need a comma there.
okay,
All right, now I see what he's doing. So that's how he's accounting for the money that we already have coming from general fund over to the park fund.
Mhm.
And he's
Well-
accounting for the,
Well, no, wait a minute. Okay. So not all this money is in the general fund. The township's ARPA money is in the federal fund.
right,
So that's gonna have to be budgeted too.
so that needs to be changed.
Right. So, and that, do you have that amount? I don't have that amount in front of me. I forget how much, what was
He's got it listed there.
no,
93,000,
You're talking about the
$73.38.
in what note? The 28?
And 28. Says rec fund.
Okay, so I
Oh, it needs a
guess
comma.
I'd have
So-
to check that figure, 93,000.
Yeah, that's coming in from, not necessarily, well, he's got
from the
general, but
federal
it would be
fund.
coming
He
in
does
from the
say
federal,
The federal fund,
right?
yeah.
And then the 6,000 would be coming from general.
And I guess I don't see. On ball field rental fees. I wonder what I put the Little League's check under, because they did pay us for the banners.
Those were the signs. This is, I think, wasn't there discussion that they were talking about hosting a tournament there or a tournament locally and to use that as part of the field rotation?
Well, yeah, maybe, but I'm just saying what I don't see in here is where is the money from the
Oh, the banners.
the banners?
You would have thought that would have gone into other revenues possibly?
Well, I'm not sure what I put that in, but I don't see it here. So that's something I need to investigate.
So if Ron thinks that 93,000 from the federal fund is coming from the general fund, then what we need to do is that we need to make a note to look at what's being transferred out of the general fund. That if he's accounted for this 93,000 coming out of there. When it should,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
when it actually is sitting in the federal fund.
Yeah, I was gonna say the 93,000, I thought, I think I should.
But his note indicates to me, he thinks it's coming out of the general.
Yeah, I don't read it that way. I guess just,
From the federal fund
Eh,
right here. on
Well,
20
that might be the 6,926
Yeah,
from general.
right.
That one
right,
says from federal. We just need to verify.
Right.
sure.
It says 93,073,38 is from federal fund.
Yeah, I think it's just an interpretation.
Balance of 69,26,26 is from general fund.
Yeah, I read it the way you do.
He also had line 26, consider additional line item to track ARPA funding.
That might be a
So-
good idea.
Because all grant money would go in there.
What's the number for unearned income under liability that they want you to use for grant money?
I'd have to look it up. I think
Oh,
it's
okay.
like 338 or something like that. It's unearned income. We have it in some other funds too. Well, as on the additional line item to track ARPA funding, I mean, in a way, we've already got the federal fund that's tracking our ARPA money. And then we're saying whatever money we get from the county, that's gonna be. I don't think we need an additional line item in here. Do you?
Under
Because,
the
because
revenue?
really you're more worried about tracking the expenditures. Yeah, well,
Yes.
that's what he says, yeah. Okay, does anybody have anything they want, else they want to talk about revenue?
No, I'm good there.
And as far as this note 29, salaries administrator. So that's a good question. When I was the park administrator, I got paid out of the park fund and the recreation fund. And so if you're gonna have the park manager and it's clear in there that that person has duties, you know, with respect to other parks. Why isn't that part of that being paid out of the rec fund?
I think it should be.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't disagree. It's just a question of,
Right,
do you split
how
that?
much?
Yeah, do you split it on a percentage basis or do you split it? I mean, it just seems to me that you can go through an hourly calculation and, you know, try to spread all that out.
No,
I find that's less, you can do a lot of work and not be any
Right.
more accurate than saying they're gonna spend 85% of the time here and 15% of the time here.
And that's just it. I don't remember if there was ever, I don't remember how we figured that, to tell you the truth. I always just put an amount in each one. And then, you know,
Well,
to total what I was asking for that year. So, I mean, I think you take an amount, because this isn't an hourly position, it's a
Right.
salaried position. So are they gonna spend, you know, a quarter of their time? Do you put 10,000 in here?
Well, let's look at
Or-
your, last year was $850, right? So the balance of what you were paid would have been in the other side of it.
Yeah, right, yeah,
So,
yeah.
that's
right.
that's probably what, 6%? So, no. that's-
Well, we could go back one fund here and see what that was. So it was $7,000 in the park fund. So altogether it was $7,935 annual pay.
Okay, so roughly 10% time allocated to,
Yeah,
so,
yeah, a little more. I mean, you could pick a number, 10.
I mean, if any,
Well-
if lack of any better data to get started with, I would say
Right.
using the same split at least
Yeah,
gives you, it
exactly.
gives us a basis
Right.
for why did you do this?
Right.
Well,
Wouldn't
historically,
it be just easy to put 4,500 in here as 10% of the
Mhm.
total salary and then decrease the other one?
that's what I'm saying.
45,000 by 4,500?
Guys, at some point, we need to, in my opinion, stop separating the campground from Parks and Rec. It needs to become all one
One
Parks and
fund.
Rec. At one point, I think we had to have it because of grant money that we were getting for that bathhouse thing, but that's long since passed.
Well, here's the
with you.
problem though, because Whitewater, as I've said, Whitewater Township Park, that fund was set up to track just the revenue and expenses of Whitewater Township Park because it's a revenue generating park. None of the other parks have any revenue to speak of. And so then what you're gonna have, if you were to make that one fund, then you're gonna have on every line item, you're gonna have everything like under 930 facility repairs and maintenance. You're gonna have everything for 5 parks that got spent on facility repairs and maintenance under 930. Unless you're gonna make more numbers to split that out. And then then we can't split that out any more than the line item. Unless you make it more line items, and that would be true of many things, 740 operating supplies, 930, 970.
But all of those are very minimal for the recreation.
But how do you know they're going to be minimal going forward? We've already got, I mean, what they're gonna be spending on trails, that's gonna come out of,
To me, Cheryl, I think we're past the point where we need to prove that the park makes money.
Yes.
We know the
Katie.
park makes money. And it has
Right.
for many years now, and it's
Yeah.
gonna continue to.
yeah,
By combining them at some point, all we're doing is making it one department
yeah.
for all our parks. And that is
Yeah.
a park down there. It's not just a
I'm
campground.
just telling you that unless you create a bunch of new line items
I see
that
that.
track it by park. Under those major categories, you're not going to know what got spent at High Prairie or at
Can you
Whitewater
have
Township
individual
Park.
breakdowns?
Well, no,
in that
right
category?
now, if I print out an expense sheet like I did for Melissa last night. Okay, here's 930. Facility repairs and maintenance in the rec fund. I already had to go through and show that some of these things, well, most of this was for High Prairie because we didn't spend any money out of this line item at any other parks, I don't believe. But if you were spending money at Whitewater Township Park, there's a 930 line item in Whitewater Township Park, the 208 fund, and I guarantee it's longer than this. So then you're gonna go through and you're gonna pick things. You're gonna pick. What went to the park, what went to the township park, Whitewater Township Park, and then what went to High Prairie, stuff
I
like
guess you
that.
have to make a decision as how important is it to know how much cleaning supplies we used at each individual park.
No, I get that. That is not that important, but when it comes to things like, things that are maybe a few $1,000s or something, then you probably do want to know.
Aren't you gonna have POs for that? Cause it's over $1,000?
Well, but this is our financial reporting right here.
Yeah, and
know,
you got
in
any
the revenue-
suggestions?
And in the and you'd have it on the revenue expenditure, but it may not say which park it was spent at,
I just see other townships doing it without breaking it out.
Yeah, that would be some work. I would suggest we not do that this year. because
Oh,
that's
no,
gonna
I'm
be a lot
not
of work.
suggesting that, Cheryl.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
going forward somewhere in the future here,
Right.
I could see combining them.
yeah. Well, I just think if you want to have something that you can look at and get things for different parks, you're gonna have to create a bunch of extra line items. like maybe you start pointing off some of these numbers, 930.001, 930.002, 930.003 through 5 for the 5 parks, so that you know, then you have a delineation of which park that was spent at. Do you see what I'm saying, Donna?
I absolutely do. And
Right.
then the question I would have, the follow-up is okay, so let's say now we have those, dot delineations. So then, and I'm not familiar with the accounting system. So now I want to run just a parks expense.
Yeah,
And so now does the system
can't.
allow me to run anything that is a .1 or a .01? And
I don't know,
ignore-
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
right.
so
Yeah,
I think I see the merits of both sides of this.
right, yeah.
We're not gonna solve it here.
No,
It's-
no,
it's-
no,
It's a
no.
much.
That,
So what
that's.
did
And then again, I'll take it one step further, to your point, if we're gonna start doing that type of thing, then maybe we ought to be looking at that new software accounting package. And-
Get a new one.
And just say, okay, maybe
Yeah,
the time is to just completely retool that.
Yeah,
right.
And so.
Because you have under, between the park fund and the rec fund, you have 5 facilities.
Yeah.
There are 5 facilities there. So,
You're gonna be .01, 2,
Right.
3, 4, 5. I
yeah,
mean,
you're gonna have to
legitimately,
do something.
yeah, you can't,
well, currently now under rec, we take all the parks other than the campground and we combine those
Mhm.
into all one category.
yeah,
For
I
each
know,
one of
but
them,
we
we don't
generally-
split that out. We don't say this much is spent at Low C, this much is spent at Battle
Can we
Creek
just say this
area,
much was spent on the
Tobico,
parks?
High Prairie Park. We don't do that. We group that
No.
all together under one.
Because there's not that much spent on the other parks other than High Prairie.
That's my point,
Yeah.
Cheryl. There's not much spent.
I
at
mean,
the
I like where you're going, and I think to the point of having at least a .01 and .02, I think is really important from a delineation standpoint.
Yeah,
But,
So
and I
what-
think you're right, it doesn't, cleaning supplies, probably,
Who cares?
But if I'm looking at maintenance capital,
Right.
I would want to delineate 01 and 02. But again, we're not gonna solve it here, so.
So what did you say, 702? Did you say you wanted to, because there's 0 in there now. Did you say you wanted to put $1 in there for the administrative salaries?
I think based on
I
the
think-
historical aspect of
yeah,
of
I think it
Cheryl's
would be.
wages or salary allocated there to the overall was approximately 10%. So allocating $4,500 there and then reducing the other one by 4,500.
Right, okay. So go back up here.
And
So in the park fund, it would go to 40,500.
and then I think you'd have to look at it next budget session to see.
Right. It would be nice if we could get through everything. Some of these aren't gonna take very long. What else do we wanna do? Here in the rec fund? I think we've kind of covered the revenue. I'll find out where the banner money went to. That might have gone into private sources there.
Is that where the
590.
baseball money goes to, if anybody pays for the?
The only thing I question, 703 wages in the PrAC board. I just don't know what universe I see them doing 18 meetings.
No, I don't see that
you know,
either.
They did a lot of meetings, they did extra meetings, I won't say a lot. They did extra meetings when they were working on the park plan because they needed that
Yeah,
additional.
the 5-year.
But I think the reason why Ron put 18 in there is because he is anticipating them helping more with the
Boat launch
park,
and the
the
boat launch.
campground decisions and planning and I don't know.
Yeah,
Isn't that what he says?
That's what I thought he was doing it for, but maybe I'm wrong.
well, I think that warrants further debate because there's certainly some delineation there. I was told point blank last night in the meeting by Melissa that they will not be involved in any day-to-day operations. I don't certainly know where that came up. Nobody was advocating that, but I think there's
Right.
been some discussion around you know, capital projects, you know, within the park, for example, you know, they're looking at adding a slide to the township park. And that's gonna take.
That's how they've been involved with the
Yeah,
park,
right.
is with suggesting improvements and.
Absolutely.
Right,
So now
right. And they
what
need
the question really to me is, I don't,
Ranger material.
so, no,
and they don't want to be.
correct.
No.
And so I'm not advocating that they do. I'm just
Right.
saying that, so I
Right.
think I think 18 meetings is overkill. I can't imagine them having, I barely struggle.
How about 14?
14.
That's 2 extra meetings.
Yeah.
And if
How
they
about
need
14?
more?
Because I think they run the course of a year where they probably can't even get quorum at least once. And that would give them,
Oh, they need an alternate.
Do
I
you,
don't know of any.
So what is that? Are we, and they're moving from 70 to 75?
Right.
Don,
then
are you
120.
thinking of redoing their scope and making them broad out the horizon a little and help
No,
with the boat launch?
that's-
Nope, because they don't want to do it.
No, I didn't, no, that's not at all, right? That not, they want to do it or not, that's
Well,
not.
remember that.
I'm not, I'm a liaison, I'm not
Melissa,
dictating.
Brandon, and Amber have full-time jobs.
Yeah,
Fran is pushing 80. Fran's been a park ranger at the Traverse City State Park, but she doesn't do that kind of work anymore.
No.
And Tom, you're not gonna get him out there.
yeah,
doing that
I'm not
kind
being
of
critical
stuff.
of, I'm just saying that I just don't think that
Okay,
they're
but
gonna.
I don't
See,
think that's what they
yeah,
had
the-
in mind when they
No.
came on board.
But,
That's not what they had in mind.
okay, but so you
So
don't
the 160.
want to give them
chair-
any responsibility
that.
for what's going on at the
One
park?
I think like we did.
No,
this-
I,
Yeah.
I
because-
did, that's not what, they're an advisory committee, they're not. We asked them to look at certain areas,
Okay.
do the research,
14 meetings then?
report
Yeah.
back to us, and we make the
120
decisions.
times 14,
We didn't
58, 80.
Ask them to be on this board to come out and
And
work
then there was
shifts
just
at the
about
park.
200.
No, I'm not even.
Oh, that's
not-
what they're talking about.
Okay,
No, I'm not talking about that. You guys, I'm on a totally different page than you are. I'm not talking about them working at the park. I was talking them of being an advisory.
They already are.
Well, I get that, but okay. That's not how his comment came across, but okay.
And I don't know what Ron means by having them be more involved in that. They're pretty well got their hands full with, improvement projects and ideas and, chasing the information they do and stuff like that. But, so I came up with that if they're 75 per member times 4 members, and then plus the chair at 120, that's $420 a meeting times 14 meetings is $58.80. Then I came up with the recording secretary at $53 an hour times 2 hours, 106 per meeting times 14 meetings, $14.84. And that totals $73.64. So I mean, you could make it,
and well, we still add in, then you've got the delineation of ranger time there that we need to add into those wages.
oh yes,
And-
ranger
and
time,
so-
yeah,
Um,
yeah, there's not a lot of that.
So-
But yes, there's some going over
Right.
there cleaning, so
34 weeks to range,
probably 34 weeks.
34 times 4 times 2 is what he's,
34 times 4.
4 parks.
Oh, no, they don't go to all the parks.
Okay,
There's nothing to clean.
okay, so
The only
that's,
thing they go to is High Prairie and clean the bathroom.
so it's 34
Take
times
the
2
trash
then.
out.
Okay, so
Yeah.
dropping the 4 out of there. So you have 68 hours time. Times 28.94 per hour. What did that come out to be?
Well, most rangers aren't gonna make that much. Are they?
No, I mean.
If they are, I'm applying tomorrow.
Let's.
I'm sorry, Don, you used 34 weeks
Mhm,
times
2 ranger hours per week.
2 hours per week. Okay, so that's 68 total hours.
Yep,
68 hours. Do you want to just times it by $20?
yes, yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Times $20 an hour. So what's that? 68 times 20. is 1360. So 1360. 580.
8724.
1484 plus 1360, 8724.
Yeah, that's
Just
what,
want to make it 8800.
yeah, yes, yeah, let's do that.
Okay, and then we'll recalculate those others.
Okay, so 703 is 8,800.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Um. Yeah, and I don't know, under the. I'm not sure all what we have put under operating expense and supplies right now, but we can just leave it at that.
Yeah,
Just leave those and then. Note 31 for the lawn maintenance, 5% across the board increase fuel costs. Yeah, I can get that. We haven't had the septic tank pumped over there in a while, so that's 500 for that. Hopefully that's enough.
Yep.
Mileage. They typically don't have what they must have published something for them, $90, and the year before 89. I can't remember what that was now.
Might have had something to do with the rec plan, doing like an open house or
yes,
something.
Yeah. Right. Well, the public hearing, I think.
Mhm.
And then electricity. That's probably good.
yeah.
And then, let's see, this 930.
We don't, he doesn't have any notes on that.
Nope.
No, we don't.
Probably just increased a little bit what we decided to do last
I can
year.
tell you what was spent on that, because I gave it to Melissa, so. There was the sand that went in at the cleanup day, minor expense for the batting cage. There was. We bought some basketball nets, we had that driveway graded over there last year.
Yeah,
we
pick
had-
up some fire stuff that didn't get taken
That,
away.
yeah, they took care of that. We had some irrigation system, we have to have that turned on, turned off. We had some repairs to that last year. We have the water testing that has to be done over there each quarter that it's open, and the opening testing. We had weed, True Green did 3 applications of weed killer over there. We bought new tennis nets for $450. We did the dugouts. But okay, only 480 came out because Peterson spread and compacted the diamond dust, which we hadn't allowed for. And then we had signs. And then we had the playground repairs, rules, signs, age decals, and clevises for the swings. That's what came out of 930 last year.
What do you see for this year? Did they say anything?
The
Don
main
goes to
maintenance
their
items, talking about high prey weed removal in not only there, the playground, the batting cage, the fence line around the baseball diamonds and dugouts, front flower bed, again, high prey diamond dust. They had trail mowing and maintenance 3 to 4 times per year. And then they included Battle Creek and Lossy. If not done by rangers, and I hope the rangers never.
We don't have any equipment.
Yeah. So
They're not gonna take a
so,
push mower. out
yeah,
there.
so I think that the numbers probably, if that, what we spent this year is probably pretty much in line.
Cheryl, did we ever get
Well,
the
there
tennis
wasn't any
courts
mowing.
cleaned?
There wasn't any mowing done of, of course, we had the work done. So there wasn't any mowing done at Battle Creek or Lossy, but those trails have been cleaned up now, except for the part at Battle Creek that didn't get cleaned up. So I do think we're gonna wanna have, those trails mowed. Because they do get overgrown with
Mhm.
a couple feet of grass if they're not mowed, so I don't
Right.
know. I don't really think the 15,000 is enough, to tell you the truth.
Did we ever get the tennis courts cleaned? Because they were gonna be
We got
power
those
washed.
cleaned a few years ago, but I know some people have said they need it again. I don't remember what we spent on that.
And what about the park benches? Not the park benches,
Picnic tables.
the park, I know the High Prairie Parks.
The baseball benches, the bleachers.
Bleachers,
bleachers.
thank you. I couldn't think of.
They've
Pretty
been
clean.
told
I say.
to Replace those, they are older wood bleachers, but that would be a capital expenditure. I don't know if they've got any.
So you
costs
think
on
we
that.
should increase the 15 to maybe 20 for mowing?
Yeah, at least. I don't know. Yeah, I would say 20. And then there's gotta be some more money put in this storm cleanup too, because we didn't get it all done. You know, that's gotta be done, those two sections of trail, that shorter sections of trail that got missed, however. I don't think it matters, but we need to get that done. I mean, maybe 10 grand or something. I don't know. It probably wouldn't be that much. I don't know. But you know, if you're
all the
gonna,
other-
if you're gonna do it with
if-
you know, if you're gonna have Matt mark the trees again, you know what I'm saying? Then you're gonna have his cost, and you're gonna have, Grand Traverse Conservation District. I mean, they were far and away the lowest person.
But didn't we already have Pressel mark those? It just got missed having,
Matt Harrell marked them.
No, he
No,
didn't
they
get that.
didn't mark
That's what,
those.
that's where the problem, okay.
Right.
So, I mean, if you look at this fact that you spent $30,000 on the other trails, is it reasonable to think that's probably 10,000 to?
I do.
So, I mean, just.
I mean, or less.
percentage-wise,
I think it'll probably be less, but
But,
I mean, between the fees for both of them.
yeah.
And then, Don's got some more numbers from the park. Ron had a note on capital expenditure. Note 82, Lossy Road Nature Trail improvements is what he allowed for in there, but I think that don't they have a list of a lot of other things they want to do with rec fund parks?
This is what she sent me.
Yeah, so let me just see that for a second. This is something that Melissa sent to Ron back in January. Capital projects that the PrAC has discussed to recommend be included in this next year's budget. $1,000 for signage upgrades at BCNA, which they had last year, but they didn't do it because of the cleanup. $1,000 for signage upgrades at Lossy Trail. There's basically no signs on either of those trails.
There's an email in your email right now, and this is from January 11th, 2023, if you want to read along.
Yeah,
That's what I'm reading.
That's what she
That's
just.
I get it, but I thought maybe
Oh.
you might read along.
Oh, okay, well,
Here,
okay, so, and then, there was a blank left for remainder of original open contract amount with Conservation District for the BCN trail, and we've kind of put 10,000 on that. Then there's 81,000 in the township's ARPA money for use on the BCNF trail, but Ron's pretty much already got that in here. Well, I don't think I guess we don't know how much it'll be, but he's got the, okay, that's not necessarily for just the wetlands project, but the 81,000 in local for use on BCNA Lossy Trail improvements was what they had asked for, plus the 95,917 from the county for Lossy Road wetland mitigation and trail improvements. Then they say 50,000. Now this is not the rec fund, but 50,000 budget only, waiting on quotes for slide and toddler climb activity set for Whitewater playground. Then they've got $5,000 engineering conceptual drawings for High Prairie Walking Trail. So, I mean, Ron has got something in there for what is it, 32, the Lossy Road Nature Trail improvements. But, I mean, are these signage things gonna be under facility repairs and maintenance, or do we put that under?
I would leave it under facilities repairs. and
Right,
infrastructure,
yeah, so, and sorry, I wrote on your document
so.
here,
You can
but,
keep that one. I've got another one.
oh, do you, oh, thank you,
So,
thank you.
So,
So I guess we're questioning whether this 150,000 for the wetland mitigation. What he's got,
Oh, that's
32, Lossy Road Nature Trail improvements.
I don't see the 150,000 covering the expenditures that we've got grant money coming in.
we had a long conversation about that last night at the prac. Nobody does. And I
Yeah.
was trying to impress upon him, the prac. I know Melissa's scheduling some time to do some walkthroughs with a couple people to try to get an estimate. It's best guess at this point. I couldn't tell you whether it's 50% less or 50% more. And as we went around that table, there was a source of concern. And I said, the only way that you're going to be able to do this is you're going to have to get somebody in the field, walk this thing out. And as Melissa pointed out, and rightly so, the DNR had to be involved. And so one plan that somebody might recommend, the DNR may want it designed a different way. So there's a lot more complexity to this. So I think the takeaway that I had from the meeting was that she had some scheduled walkthroughs once the weather broke, and she was going to include DNR representative to help. And then based on that, I think then they can hone in on a range of cost estimate. And until that happens, that 150,000 is as good as any other number.
Well,
Okay.
my
no,
only concern
hang
about it.
on just a second. It's gotta be higher than 188, and the reason why, or it's 150, it's gotta be at least 188, 189, because up in the revenue section, we are saying we're getting on line 590.
Yeah, the
God, my eyes are
27%.
bad.
Here.
The 95,917 is coming in for ARPA money from Grand Traverse County. That's for a specific project, Lossy Trail.
Yes.
And then we've got down in 699 from the federal fund, $93,073.38 that ARPA money that the township received that is being dedicated towards recreation.
Towards recreation, right.
Towards recreation. So
Right,
these
so-
things they've listed out, it could be any one of those, but if we're planning on spending that money, because we've got to have it spent by 2026. And
But the point being is that the ARPA, federal ARPA money was put into the rec fund. Okay. The grant from the GTC ARPA funds are specific. They have to be put there.
right,
The federal
Right.
ones, if let's say it was 150,000, let's say that's the number, well, then the federal ARPA would likely supplant that or fund that. And that still would leave some ARPA funds that could be used for other projects. Fully understanding that has to be spent by 2026. I think it's a leap to say that the project's going to be $188,000. Potentially, we hope it's not, because that's all the grant money we have.
well,
But-
no, Don, I'm not saying that the Lossy Trail project
Okay,
is gonna come up to the 180. I'm
Okay.
just coming up with the number that we transferred in as revenue.
Oh, okay.
I'm
gotcha.
saying we're going to be expensing it out under capital expenditures.
Yeah.
We need to account for that money going back out. That way, if we do have
Okay,
the ability to do projects that end up to that much, we don't have to come back in and do a budget amendment to bring more
Amen.
money down to the capital expenditure.
Amen.
Or even put it in
I misunderstood what
contingency,
you're
you
saying,
know?
so, yeah, okay.
And I will add to that, that last year, we had budgeted, now this got postponed 1 year. But we had budgeted, or I had budgeted 15,000 for trail evaluation / upgrades to address 3 trail improvement projects that are on the 2021-2025 recreation plan capital improvement list at BCNA. And so that also needs to be put back in there, because they want to be able to work on that. You know, they want to connect the trail so that it's a loop. Remember, there was the loop part of it. There was 3 trail improvement projects that are on their capital improvement plan list in the rec plan. And I don't know, you know, but 15,000, I think we need to put that back in there. But last year, we also deducted 25,000 for an engineered plan for trail upgrades to address the wet area, but now we've got this other money for that. But this 15,000 should be put back in that capital expenditure for BCNA trail upgrades, evaluation and upgrades, I believe.
Yeah, I guess it's just the 150,000 that we're putting towards that, it's, I guess I'm cautiously optimistic after, what Steve Largent did with the trail cleanup, how substantially lower that was than what we estimated. And he has been working really closely and had great interest with the PrAC to continue working on that trail and the projects coming up. I think if anything,
Wait and
and
see if
one,
you
one,
need it. There
one,
might be the 15,000 left over.
yeah, one
Right.
event doesn't make a track record, but I'm telling you, I feel pretty good that the 150
Well,
is
then you
probably
could just
enough.
come back and
Yeah.
ask for it.
So,
Then just come back to the table and amend it.
But I still feel pretty strongly that number needs to be higher. Simply because we have
Your
the,
federal funds that equal
we
more.
have
Yeah.
2 fundings coming in, and all I'm saying is used what's coming in
Should be in the budget.
should be in the budget for expenditure. Who knows, maybe we
but
get some of these things that are on their capital expenditure list that we hadn't planned on doing.
yeah, I guess I just, my take on that's a little different. If you want to put the 180 in there, fine, but I don't like the designation that the whole 180 is for trails, because I think.
I don't either.
And
I
so-
didn't say that at all.
I know you didn't. I'm
Isn't it
afraid,
a rec fund?
I'm afraid that's going to be the inference that somebody's going to take it that way.
Well, why don't
versus-
we,
Label it?
in the notes, we're saying this much has come in from Grand Traverse County ARPA that's going to be spent towards Losi Trail.
Mhm.
And then this much is coming in from state ARPA, federal ARPA. And this will be spent on various items, and maybe we list those out. Things that we're considering, use the word considering, that way you're not locking yourself into it, because maybe we put in here this toddler park,
Yeah.
but we end up doing something different over at High Prairie Park with it. As long as it's used in the recreation area, I
Correct.
think.
As long as there's a disclaimer that it's just, I mean, wouldn't it be wonderful if Steve Largent's program that the GTC ARPA funds cover the whole thing? I mean, maybe that's enough. And that frees up the federal ARPA for other projects. I just don't want to lock it into trails. But if we can wordsmith a disclaimer in there, or, conditions, then I'm fine. with
We can
that.
do anything we want. It's the board.
Yeah, it's the
supporting
board's
decision. We
budget.
can do that. And I think I'm agreeing with you on it. I don't know how Cheryl feels, but I think I've already heard that from Ron.
I just want clarity. To me is, I mean, we've all experienced, just in the short time that I've been here, at least I have, the number of, takeaways that people have when we're, interpretations are left to their own devices. So I think that any wordsmithing to help clarify that, then I'm 100% for. You and I are lined up. I'd like the disclaimer. So again, I guess.
So can we change this from 150 to 189? I'm rounding up.
Why don't you just make it 190? And leave it at that. What is it, $3?
300.
So. So, and this may not have any effect, so just, and
300,
I'm asking,
$3.
I'm asking the question because that may appear stupid to you, but it's just because I don't know the answer. So why if we put the 189 in there, and I'm looking at this and I'm not sure that that $190,000 worth of projects can get done in 2023, 24.
Sure.
And
But
so
what happens if you can't?
I'll make you a wait.
This,
Don't take that back.
So,
I can't even get someone to fix a wall. Don't take that back.
Go ahead.
So I just want to bring to your attention, I pulled up the rec plan here and the capital improvement schedule, which is on page 27 of the rec plan. So the number one item is the High Prairie Park, improve ball fields dugouts. That's done. Number two, Whitewater Township Park boat launch entryway improvements. We had 400,000 on that, but that's budgeted elsewhere. Number three is this deal with the wet area at Lossy Road Nature Trail. They had a very low amount on that, but this is just lay people guessing. Number four is upgrade the walking bridge over Battle Creek. Number five, that's on a trail. So 3 and 4 are on trails. Number five, Battle Creek, make the existing trail a loop instead of a dead end. That's trail work. Number 6, Battle Creek, linking the trail to Lossy Trail. That's trail work. Number 7, Battle Creek, reestablishing the trail to the lake. That's trail work. So I'm just telling you that the Parks and Rec Committee has a big focus on trails. And in the Parks and Rec survey, I believe that there was a lot of interest in trail improvements. I don't have it right here. I guess it's in this document too. But when you say, well, maybe we don't want all the money to go to trails, well, maybe it won't all go to trails. But I'm just telling you, the recreation, the Parks and Rec Committee, a lot of the things that they talk about are trail related because Tobico, Battle Creek, and Lossy, they're trails. That's what they are. We don't have playgrounds there or ball fields or the beach or a campground or anything at any of those parks. 3 of our 5 parks are nothing but trails. And so there is going to be a lot of talk and a lot of, they've come up with these things. And
I
I would
understand
like
that,
to
but
see more.
that's a
than
long
150.
term.
I
Yeah.
get it, but and if they want to do anything else, and to your question on the toddler park, that was for Whitewater. They've listed
Yeah.
that for Whitewater, not High Prairie. But
Then I say
anyways,
no on it.
yeah, well,
Well,
the
I would
only
too,
thing,
because
we
you're
have
dealing more with
all of our
campers than-
equipment is ages 5 to 12, I believe, except for the merry-go-round at the park, at Township Park. But anyways, I'm just saying, I do think we need to put more money in that so that some of it can be spent on, just like they say, evaluating some of these other trail options. This is the time, as the new budget season, new fiscal year opens, where they can have nice weather to go and, get people out there and start evaluating. It costs money to even evaluate these trail projects, whether they're even feasible to do, I just think we should have some money in there for them to be able to spend on that.
So you're in
They can
favor of
come and
raising
ask.
it then?
I am in favor of raising it.
Are you in favor of raising it?
You wanted it 190?
Well, Don said round it out. Or was it you that said?
I
round it
said
out?
round it out.
180.
All right, go with that, as long as it covers all your grant money. If they need more money, they come back and ask. long as I have.
And then I'm with Don. We list out what we're thinking the 180 would be spent towards.
So let's list that out right now, because as you know, I typically put notations in the budget of what the 970 line items were gonna be allocated to. So that we remember what we talked about. So 150,000 to Lossy Road Nature Trail improvements, correct? Which is what Ron
No.
had.
How do you get that?
Well, I'm just going with what Ron had.
Well, because for
Note
the
32.
Lossy Road Nature Trail, the ARPA money coming in from Grand Traverse County is 95,917.
I know.
So
but it's
are
gonna-
we
but-
adding to
but
that?
They've been told it's gonna take more than that. To do that project. Now, whether it is or isn't, I don't know, but Ron had on his note 32 is Lossy Road Nature Trail improvements for 150. And so I just was, and that could also include evaluating, linking that trail to the Battle Creek Trail. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it would, I don't know.
Well, this engineering conceptual drawing, High Prairie Park Walking Trail is not.
Yeah, that's another one. High Prairie Park. Walking trail, that's.
I want to
something
see
that-
some improvements done at High Prairie Park. Not just the
Yeah, like
trails
a-
out
right,
on
like
Losi
a
and Battle
dog
Creek.
park or
I
something,
understand
something
that
other.
in Losi, Battle Creek has a maintenance plan, a management plan that we have to start doing things on, and I get that. And I agree with everything you listed out that
So-
is in the capital improvement
Right.
plan for the recreation plan. I agree with all those. I just don't think they all have to be done at one time.
No, I
think we
get it.
need to spread the love around a little bit.
Okay, so how do you want to allocate it, Dawn? Let's figure it out.
Because we do not have hard numbers for the Losi Trail.
I mean, these are all just guesstimates.
No,
you
I
know?
get that,
And it's all the wish list at this point.
but I know how much we've been given straight for Losi Trail, so I'm comfortable taking that number. Now, if you want to add more to it, because they've been told it's gonna cost more than that.
What do you want to put the number at?
Let's do 130. I don't,
Got it. Okay, so 130 to Lossy Road Nature Trail wet area mitigation.
so now we got 100 and, or we got 50.
Yep. So do you want to say 20,000 to High Prairie? 25,000 to High Prairie?
What do you think, Don?
Basically, it's evaluation and
Yeah, I'm just looking for the number here. So they had thought the number would be, where did I see the number was 5,000? Oh, it was on there.
Well, we got signage for Battle Creek Natural Area.
Right.
But we
That's not
said that could
included
go
in
under
Losi.
maintenance.
Oh, we
That
did?
could go under
Yeah, but
930.
So.
That's kind of a small item.
The engineering conceptual drawings, the 5,000 for engineering conceptual drawings for High Prairie. I guess the question I would be is, that updates what that plan that we had there, right? That was done years ago.
Yeah, that's a conceptual drawing over there.
Yeah, I would think there would be a total new drawing.
So I think what they're after is not necessarily a conceptual drawing. My recollection of the conversation last night was looking for more of an engineered some specs so that they could actually put something out to bid.
Do you think
know,
5,000 is gonna
so-
cover that?
We paid 2,000 for the dugout
Yeah,
drawings.
I mean, it's a
Can
1 mile
I
loop. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
That we dedicate 20,000 towards High Prairie and 30,000 in Flux.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, I
To-
like that idea.
Just, yeah.
Cause you could always.
For projects to be
Two.
determined.
Yes,
So instead
Two
of
high
saying,
pay projects.
yeah.
I don't think,
And then the 30,000 in flux.
they put $30,000 project to be determined.
Yeah,
Yep.
Right.
that way it can be used down at the playground in the
Unspecified.
Yeah,
campground,
unspecified.
or it can be used
Yeah, because that may,
Anything.
Battle Creek Natural Area if we needed it, or to supplement what we're doing on Losey Trail.
yeah, I'm on board with that.
$30,000 for unspecified projects?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Okay.
It is 4 minutes to 12.
Yes,
Are
it
we done
is.
with the rec plan? I'm sorry, the
Yes.
rec fund?
Yep.
Okay, moving on to ambulance.
Are we going further? Because I thought.
I thought we were,
Thought we were done.
I thought Della did, well, I know, but do you think we can spend 15 more minutes and try to get through
I
the
can.
rest of these funds? I can too. How about you, Della? You said you had to leave at 12:30, I think.
Yes.
Can we do 15 more minutes?
Yep.
Try to get through
Yeah,
these
I'm good.
funds. Some of these are very,
Sure.
not much to them.
Yep.
Okay, so ambulance fund, here again, that 402 number will be determined more precisely after board of review.
Yep.
I'm good with the other revenue figures.
Yeah,
Okay.
but let's hold on 1 second. I know
Sure.
you said it earlier and I doesn't feel right that. I'm looking for the other note. Ron's other note, his question about the millage or about the fire ambulance. Was it fire fund?
That's fire fund.
Never mind, I stand
Yeah.
corrected.
Yeah.
Move along.
Yeah, okay. So anybody got any changes they want to make to the revenues in the ambulance fund?
No.
No,
We don't have a lot for expenditures here. This is a contract, although I believe this contract's gonna be up this year because hasn't it been?
I thought it was 3 years
No, it was 2.
and it's up.
so it
So,
ends March
but-
31st.
No, it doesn't end March. It doesn't end until November, but I'm just
Okay.
saying there's,
Okay,
we have to
Will
revisit
there be an
that, but
expense
I
for
think-
renegotiation?
no. Well, if the attorney
It's
reviews
been
the
going,
contract,
it-
that's.
I have, Cheryl, you go to these meetings. Has there been any big complaints from Acme about our arrangement?
No, not really. Doug White's usually there and he usually maybe has a question on, about this response time or that response time, but I haven't heard any complaints about,
So for the most
major
part,
complaints.
they're happy with the
Yeah, I believe
arrangement.
they are.
So,
I believe they are. He doesn't bring a bunch of complaints to the meeting or anything like that.
Well, they
I
should
think
be
it's
handled
working out well
differently.
for both municipalities. I see, we have an occasional where we are, they're outside of our contractual time, but of course they only have to meet that 80% of the time. And sometimes they're coming from Munson, or it's a second unit is coming from Elk Rapids, or, something like that.
That's why your
And-
time.
so the way I see this, because we don't have any idea if there's going to be an increase coming in November, because we haven't seen
Right.
anything from them yet. We
Right,
may just have to later in the year make a budget amendment.
we may have to.
So I don't think
Okay.
spending any time trying to figure it out here
I don't
today
think
is
so
is
either.
worth
I don't
it.
either.
Agreed.
Keep going.
Now I see Ron's put 600 back in there for, oh no, we had 600 for janitorial, pretty much the firefighters. Well, no. Yeah, pretty much I think the firefighters are taking care of most of that. This might be some paper towels or something like that. We haven't spent anything on it. Nothing's been turned in. The waste removal over there, I know we upped that in the, it's the same amount. They have the same size tote that we do over there. And we upped that in the general fund a little bit. I would suggest we use that same figure.
Yeah, but this is divided between the fire and
Oh,
ambulance.
that's right. It's divided between those two. So that should be good. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
When you're looking
Okay.
at these expenditures, most of them,
Or
Right.
split
I
it.
Are
forgot it's
split.
divided. Okay, let's see. I mean, I think it's probably pretty good. This whole page we're looking at here, I don't have anybody got any changes they want to make?
No.
Nope.
Good.
Okay, last page of ambulance,
Should we double check and ask the fire chief?
About,
Anything in ambulance that he sees we might need? I mean,
oh, he's not in charge of.
I
he's the-
understand that, but he's still,
I don't-
okay.
Well, he's not here today, so you're welcome to ask him, I guess. To me, I don't see any changes there on the third page of ambulance. Pretty much the same numbers we've had. With a 5,000 contingency. We done with that? Yep.
Yep.
The federal fund, he's got numbers unknown, but we don't have any more, the only revenue we would have coming into that is, interest.
Mhm.
And as soon as that money's dispersed, then we won't have any money in this fund. And really, I think we know what that's gonna be. Aren't we gonna be dispersing all of it
Mhm.
out of this fund? So transfers to other, and Ron's got that in here, note 37, all of the money dispersed. 37, yeah, he's got those numbers in there. Yeah. So, so that fund is gonna be emptied out this year. Budgeted transfers do have to be brought for that though,
Yeah.
because we can't just trade money. Anybody got anything on the federal fund?
No. As you noted, the transfers.
Right.
Mhm.
Public Improvement Fund, we gain a little interest there. He's got 36, Public Boundary Survey, High Prairie Park Walking Trail, so he's got in there $15,000 for a survey. For the High Prairie Trail, so.
So that makes the 20,000 we talked about earlier. If the 15,000 is covered here for the boundary survey and that, or.
Right,
Well,
you're just
no, I'll
moving-
take that back.
Yeah.
So those are two distinct items. Never mind. The boundary survey is a completely different than an engineering, so. I retract my statements.
Yeah, I suppose we could take that out of here. To me, it would be paid out of the rec fund because it's High Prairie, but.
Well, you are beautifying the community.
Well, no, I get that. I know, I get the
What's the harm in
distinction
leaving-
between the work.
What's the harm in leaving it here?
Well,
no,
the thing
we
is,
could leave
is
it
that
here.
if you're taking it out of the public improvement fund, because it's gonna be used in the rec fund for High Prairie Park, maybe what we should do is put it on line 999, transfer to other funds
You could do that.
and transfer it into the park fund. And then expense it from there.
And
Yeah.
again,
To
I would
me,
ask-
it
Because
works.
otherwise, just like I said earlier, you're not gonna have all the expenses for one place in the same fund.
I agree with that. So rather than having it in line 804, we put it in 999 and then we add that 15,000 into the rec fund.
Okay, 15,999.
Mhm.
I really think that's the better way to do it. Because then you have all those related expenses in one fund. Anybody got a problem with that?
Nope.
Nothing egregious.
Right, yeah. It might get revisited. We already did fire capital improvement funds.
Yep.
And we're done.
So we need to go back up to rec and put that 15,000 in.
Oh, as coming in? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, good idea, though.
Don, when was the last time the park plan was updated? Are you still on a 5-year, 10-year? What are you at right now? Do you know?
So
So it's
Anybody?
about
It's done 2020.
115,000.
When was it done?
2020,
The rec plan?
it's 20, wasn't it?
Well, it's 21. The plan is for 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25.
Right, so you have a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Okay, I'm trying to
Thank
get
you.
back to rec fund here.
About 8 pages back.
Transfers from other funds, so it's gonna be 115,000. And it's going to be 15,000 from public improvement. I'll be getting all these numbers put into the general ledger program so that at the next meeting, we can look at it in the document that will be going to budget public hearing. And that'll be on the 8th. So,
So we are done with this. Wow.
Yeah, we're doing good.
okay, so has everybody agreed that we can move on our agenda?
Yes.
Board comments and discussion? Hearing none. Public comment. Once again, we have no one in the township hall. Is there anyone on Zoom, Lois, that would like to comment?
If you'd like to make a public comment, please use the raised hand icon.
None? None there? Okay, so motion to adjourn. Who wants to make that?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. Bennett,
Yes.
Goss, yes, Glenn,
Yes.
Pop is absent, Baumia,
Yes.
meeting adjourned at 12:07 PM.